subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Yi Hongchen's position. On the ground, two small pits were suddenly opened. Roar! After the saber-toothed Huang, who saw that Yi Hongchen had no retreat behind him, he immediately stabbed Yi Hongchen with his saber teeth again. Upon seeing this, Chen Xian shook his head slightly, and the seven-killing sword suddenly appeared in his hand, muttering, "It's over." When the words fell, Chen Xian took a step directly, and when she just wanted to help, she suddenly stopped. A pair of pupils shrank suddenly, as if seeing an unbelievable scene. Because when Chen Xian was about to make a move, Yi Hongchen directly caught the root of the big tree with one foot and jumped 5 meters high. The saber-toothed yellow tiger had never thought that Yi Hongchen would even make such a move. A pair of sharp saber teeth pierced directly into the root of the big tree, and for a while they couldn't get rid of it at all. And Yi Hongchen, who was sliding down in the air, had already stabbed down with a sword. The position where the stabbing is going is the back of the saber-toothed yellow tiger. Puff! Because the saber-toothed yellow tiger couldn't get rid of the roots at all, he was directly stabbed by Yi Hongchen with a sword. A scream suddenly came from its mouth, and the huge body was shaking violently. But Yi Hongchen held the star sword tightly with both hands, and hung his body on the back of the saber-toothed yellow tiger. "It's not dead, it's really rough and thick," Yi Hongchen secretly said in his heart. Then, looking at the head that was shaking back and forth not far away, Yi Hongchen wiped a killing intent in his eyes. Because with Yi Hongchen's current strength, he couldn't pull out the star sword inserted on the back of the saber-toothed yellow tiger. Don't forget today's star sword, but Yi Hongchen's martial soul. Therefore, Yi Hongchen directly put away the martial soul and summoned out again extremely quickly. With the foot lightly on the saber-toothed yellow tiger's back, Yi Hongchen's whole body fell directly on the saber-toothed yellow tiger's head. "Die to me, animal," Yi Hongchen said coldly, looking at his head shaking violently. In the next second, the long sword in Yi Hongchen's hand pierced directly into the saber-toothed yellow tiger's forehead. Puff! A pool of bright red blood splashed directly from the head of the saber-toothed yellow tiger. Yi Hongchen's entire white face was dyed red, but Yi Hongchen didn't care at all. He also retracted his martial spirit, summoned it again, and stabbed a few more swords on his forehead in other positions. Because the saber-toothed yellow tiger did not die with Yi Hongchen's sword, his vitality was extremely tenacious. Unfortunately, no matter how tenacious, after Yi Hongchen stabbed the 18th sword, the saber-toothed yellow tiger could only lie down incomparably aggrieved. No interest. Chapter 0374. 800 Years of Soul Ring No Interest. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen put away the martial soul again, his entire face extremely pale. Obviously, just putting away the martial soul and summoning it out too frequently, it consumes a lot of soul power. Yi Hongchen only felt that his eyes were dark, and his whole body suddenly fainted. Fortunately, Chen Xian was also quick and swift, and when Yi Hongchen fell from the saber-toothed yellow tiger's back, he caught Yi Hongchen when he was about to fall to the ground. It's hard to imagine that you, a child, can kill an 800-year-old soul beast by yourself. Chen Xian looked at Yi Hongchen, who had been unconscious, and she muttered in disbelief. However, even if he couldn't believe it, the corpse of the saber-toothed yellow tiger was lying in front of his eyes at this moment, and he had witnessed everything just now. It took a full 10 minutes before Yi Hongchen, who had fainted, woke up leisurely. When you wake up, quickly absorb the spirit ring, otherwise, when the time is up, the spirit ring will dissipate. Yi Hongchen, who had just woke up, heard Chen Xin's words directly. At this moment, he was lying on the ground. Chen Xian was sitting beside him, his white sword eyebrows slightly raised. "Yes, teacher," Yi Hongchen responded and hurriedly got up from the ground and walked towards the saber-toothed yellow tiger's body. Sure enough, there was a yellow halo floating there, as if waiting for others to come. Yellow. It represents a century-old spirit ring. Sitting cross-legged, Yi Hongchen turned the dragon, breaking the 9 tribulations in his mind, pulling the yellow spirit ring. Feeling the traction of Yi Hongchen, the spirit ring floated to Yi Hongchen's head very naturally and was slowly falling. Once the spirit ring fell to Yi Hongchen's feet, it meant that Yi Hongchen had successfully absorbed the spirit ring. I don't know whether Hongchen's physical strength can accommodate a century-old spirit ring. Jian Duo Chenshin's eyes were worried at this moment, and he secretly cared. After all, most of the first spirit rings of ordinary people are white spirit rings, that is, 10-year spirit rings. Even if it was him, the first 100-year-old spirit ring, he almost couldn't hold it when he absorbed it. Moreover, it was just a 500-year-old spirit ring. It was not as high as Yi Hongchen's 800-year spirit ring. After the spirit ring came to the top of Yi Hongchen's head, Yi Hongchen only felt that his body became heavier and heavier. A resentment appeared in his state of mind, as if there was endless resentment. This is surprisingly the resentment of the saber-toothed yellow tiger before his death. After all, it just died in this way. Can there be no resentment? Unfortunately, this resentment only filled Yi Hongchen's state of mind for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, it disappeared. Just kidding. Yi Hongchen killed so many people, and if he was really caught by a wave of resentment, then why could he still remain calm? Everything that followed went smoothly. The yellow spirit ring fell directly on Yi Hongchen's feet and disappeared in the next second. But Yi Hongchen's closed eyes suddenly opened slowly, and an incomparable aura burst out from his body. The vegetation beside him was directly blown by the momentum he burst out, whirring. Level 16, Soul Master. The congenital full spirit power is level 10. That is to say, after absorbing such a spirit ring, Yi Hongchen's spirit power suddenly increased by level 6. All of this was seen by Chen Xian, and she was secretly shocked by Yi Hongchen's talent. This will not pass a few days. I am afraid this little baby will break through to level 20 again. Is it a great soul master? Teacher, what do you think of my first spirit ability? Chapter 0375. The first soul skill increases sword spin. Teacher, what do you think of my first soul ability? A blue long sword appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, and he whispered towards Chen Xian. In the next second, a blue light exploded on Yi Hongchen's body. 2 martial souls in front of Yi Hongchen. A long sword like a star sword appeared beside him and quickly revolved around Yi Hongchen. Call. The 2 trees beside Yi Hongchen suffered immediately, and the 2 long swords that were turned directly were cut off neatly and uniformly. Boom! Boom! The 2 trees fell on the ground in an instant, and the long sword rotating around Yi Hongchen's body was still spinning fast. Well, it's not bad. It was actually able to cut these 2 thick trees easily. Upon seeing this, Chen Xian just nodded slowly and said, there was not too much emotion in his eyes. All this is extremely normal. After all, who is Chenshin? That was titled Duo, the sword Duo, known as the #1 attack. Teacher, if it's just like this, I won't ask you yet, but these 2 swords are comparable to the saber teeth of the yellow tiger. I feel that even if it is a spirit master of the great spirit master level, once it is stabbed, the chance of death is very high. Moreover, as the cultivation base increases, these 2 swords can also increase, so I call this first spirit ability Zheng Jian Xian. Yi Hongchen put away the spirit and explained to Chen Xian according to the content in the spirit ring. What? As the cultivation base grows, the number of new swords can be added. After Chen Xian heard Yi Hongchen's explanation, her eyes narrowed slightly and her tone was a little flustered. Yes, if you can reach title de law, then it will be down 981. Yi Hongchen guessed slightly with his hands on his chin. Unexpectedly, Chen Xian directly knocked on Yi Hongchen's forehead after hearing Yi Hongchen's words. Yi Hongchen clutched the place where Chen Xian had knocked, and her gray eyes looked at Chen Xian suspiciously. Smelly boy, I thought of title de law as soon as I got my first spirit ring. Remember, don't be too arrogant and complacent. Chen Xian gave a cold snort, put his hands behind him, taught Yi Hongchen a lesson. I know. Yi Hongchen held his forehead and wandered secretly in his heart when he heard Chen Xian's words. He doesn't need to say this. He knows it. It's too much to knock him out. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Chen Xian nodded, and without a word, picked up Yi Hongchen. The 7 killing sword appeared under her feet, and she immediately left the Star-Do Great Forest with Yi Hongchen. Go to Cabello Liuli sect. Time flies quickly, and in a blink of an eye, 5 years have passed. During the 5 years, Yi Hongchen had been cultivating in the back mountain of the Cabello Liuli sect, where there's a cold pool, water is left from a high place, and Yi Hongchen sits on the rocks below, tempering his flesh, because he knew that the longer he wanted to obtain the spirit ring, the stronger his physical body must be. Otherwise, it would simply not be able to contain that kind of martial soul. Don't you see Tang San, the protagonist in Doluwa continent, was already a black 10,000-year spirit ring when he was in the 4th spirit ring? He wants to compare this protagonist. Wow. A naked young man sat on the cold pool on the rocks against the wall. Suddenly, there was a huge stream of water from above, and the boy who hit him slammed his eyes with gold stars, and even his body became extremely red. But the young man just gritted his teeth. He just supported him and didn't fall into the cold pool along the current. In the next second, a burst of blue light appeared on the boy's body, which was originally red, like skin that was about to split, and it was restored to its original state again. Chapter 0376. Level 29 Great Soul Master. Fortunately, the meteor tears have been in the body, and the system has not changed the body. Otherwise, with this body bone, it really can't sustain the cultivation of the past 5 years. After the boy recovered, he opened his closed eyes. A gray-white light appeared in his eyes, and he muttered to himself. And this young man was indeed Yi Hongchen, who came to Doluwa continent. In the past 5 years, not only the cultivation of the physical body, even the soul power, at this moment has reached the 29th level Great Spirit Master. The 2nd spirit ring is a purple spirit ring that has lasted for more than 1,000 years, and the spirit ability it brings is a single-handed, large damaging attack. Yi Hongchen named him Long Xiaobingba. As soon as the 2nd spirit ability is used, the Star Sword will make a sound like a dragon chant, and there will be an attack of ice attributes, so it became famous. In the past 5 years, if Yi Hongchen had not been able to suppress his spirit power, I am afraid he would have already broken through to the 30th level of the soul. But he was desperately tempering his body just to be able to accommodate the black 10,000-year spirit ring in the 3rd spirit ring. Yi Hongchen, have dinner. At this moment, a young girl with brown hair and a blue dress came to the edge of Handan, carrying a basket in her hand, and shouted to Yi Hongchen. After Yi Hongchen heard the girl's words, he slowly stood up from the stone. The water flowing down from the heights failed to stop Yi Hongchen from standing up, as if she was massaging Yi Hongchen. Rong, why did you come to deliver food today? 2 spirit rings rose under Yi Hongchen's feet. In the next second, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and 4 blue long swords appeared on his body. They circled Yi Hongchen and turned quickly, just like the rotating propeller of a helicopter. It supported Yi Hongchen to fly in the air, waiting for Yi Hongchen to come to the edge of the cold lake before disappearing. And this is really Yi Hongchen's first spirit ability, Zheng Jian Xian. When Yi Hongchen obtained the 2nd spirit ring, the number of swords had changed from 2 to 4. Sister Green has something to do today, so let me come. Why? Do you have an opinion? When Ning Rongrong saw Yi Hongchen approaching him naked, he did not shy away and directly stretched the basket to the front of Yi Hongchen. As early as when Yi Hongchen obtained the 1st spirit ring, Ning Rongrong was unwilling to accept it. Unfortunately, within a year, no matter how she teased Yi Hongchen, she couldn't embarrass Yi Hongchen. On the contrary, Yi Hongchen played a lot of fun together, and she suffered. For example, while eating, a young snake suddenly appeared on the leg. For another example, when sleeping, a black bear suddenly appeared next to the window, etc., which frightened Ning Rongrong. Since then, for the next 4 years, Ning Rongrong has been respectful of Yi Hongchen, at least not dare to make more mistakes. Closer to home, When Yi Hongchen saw Ning Rongrong handing it to the basket in front of him, he took it directly, sat on the ground, and took out the food inside to eat. Hello. Ning Rongrong suddenly puffed up his mouth when he saw Yi Hongchen put all his attention on the food. What's the matter? Yi Hongchen raised his eyes slightly and asked suspiciously. Can't you put on your clothes? Seeing this, Ning Rongrong weakly found a reason. Although Yi Hongchen is about to be 13 years old now, she's in a very good figure. She has 6 pieces of abdominal muscles alone, which is as beautiful as an assembly line. After Yi Hongchen heard Ning Rongrong's words, he was slightly stunned for a few seconds before going to take the clothes set aside and put them on. Having been a child for 5 years, he almost regarded himself as a child. Chapter 0377. I want to leave the 7 treasure glazed glass sect after eating. Yi Hongchen didn't continue cultivating either. Instead, he asked Ning Rongrong, who was sitting in front of him, with great interest. Rongrong, when are you going to leave the 7 treasure glazed tile sect? After all, it's too boring to stay in the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, and there are no friends. Friend? What do I want friends to do? Ning Rongrong suddenly felt a little puzzled when he heard Yi Hongchen's words. It's too lonely to be alone, friend, but it's an extravagant desire. I think you should go out and have a look. Yi Hongchen smiled faintly, stood up from the ground, with his hands behind his back, looked at the sun hanging high in the sky, and said softly, Go out. Looking at Yi Hongchen's back, Ning Rongrong was stunned when he thought of his words. She had never thought about going out from the 7 treasure glazed glass sect, but where could she go when she went out? And Yi Hongchen's remarks were just a test to see when she would come out of the 7 treasure glazed glass sect and go to Shrek Academy. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen turned around, looked at Ning Rongrong with a pair of eyes, and said lightly, Yes, go out. So when are you going to go out? If I want to go out, I can go out now, immediately, anytime. Oh, that's a year later. Yi Hongchen nodded thoughtfully when he heard the words, and then 2 spirit rings appeared again under his feet. 1 yellow and 1 purple. In the next second, the yellow spirit ring suddenly lit up, and 4 long swords appeared again on Yi Hongchen's body, dragging Yi Hongchen to the distance. What do you mean by this? Don't leave, hey. Ning Rongrong suddenly became confused when he heard Yi Hongchen say something he didn't understand. Unfortunately, before she could understand, Yi Hongchen had disappeared from her front. Yi Hongchen flew all the way, and after passing high buildings, he came to a vast other courtyard. Said it is a courtyard, but the decoration is not inferior to the modern residence of the rich. In the entire compound, there was very silence, no one, and it felt like there was no one living here. Teacher, the disciple wants to leave the 7 treasure glass sect and go to an academy for training. Yi Hongchen came to a house, lowered his head slightly, and a powerful voice came from his mouth. And here, it was Jian Doloa Chenshin's residence. Call. As soon as Yi Hongchen's voice fell, a blue light quickly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen. He was dressed in white, with long white hair fluttering in the wind, and his face looked like a 30-year-old man, suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's line of sight. Oh, you are leaving the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Why is this? This man was Yi Hongchen's teacher, Jian Doloa Chenshin. The disciple said, Enter the academy for further study. Yi Hongchen met Chen Xian's eyes without any fear and said lightly, Is the 7 treasure glazed glass sect can't compare to those academies? The dusty white sword eyebrows wrinkled following his words. Naturally not. My disciples just thought that the flowers that grow in the greenhouse are after all comparable to the flowers that are not stubbornly alive outside. Hongchen, although this is true, if you're still looking for suitable soul beasts in terms of cultivation resources, which academy can be better than our 7 treasure glazed glass sect? Chen Xian frowned more frequently after hearing Yi Hongchen's words. Teacher, this is different. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he stretched out his right hand directly, and the blue light appeared. 2 spirit rings suddenly rose under his feet, 1 yellow and the other purple. This time, the disciple wants to seek the 3rd spirit ring and also enter an academy. Chapter 0378. Ning Fengji's high IQ this time The disciple wants to seek the third spirit ring and also enter an academy. When the words were over, the purple soul ring on Yi Hongchen's body suddenly lit up, and the star sword floating on the palm of Yi Hongchen's right hand shook naturally. Hold head high. A sound of dragons roaring from the star sword. Yi Hongchen directly grasped the hilt of the sword in one hand and swung his sword casually behind him. Hum! A blue sword light appeared on the ground behind him instantly. Click! In the next second, a sword mark appeared on the extremely smooth ground, pulling extremely slender. Yi Hongchen's gray eyes did not evade Chen Xian's sharp eyes. I have an idea. Uncle Jian, don't stop Hongchen after all. His temper is the same as you, very stubborn. Just as Yi Hongchen confronted Chen Xian, an incomparably Kong Shuang voice came from behind Yi Hongchen. This voice also interrupted the atmosphere between Yi Hongchen and Chen Xin and looked at him together. That person is impressively the sect master of the Cabello Liuli sect, Ning Fengji. I didn't want to stop him. I just reminded him whether you want to go or not. Whatever you want. Chen Xian snorted coldly and immediately turned around and said coldly with his back to Yi Hongchen, "Thank you, teacher, for your fulfillment." After hearing the meaning of Chen Xian's words, the two spirit rings on Yi Hongchen's body suddenly sank into the soles of her feet, and Yi Hongchen arched her hands towards Chen Xian. Hongchen, remember, you have come out of the seven treasure glazed glass sect, but you have to be careful of someone from a power. Ning Fengji came to Yi Hongchen's side, put one hand on Yi Hongchen's shoulder, and said slowly, "Uncle Ning, who is it?" Yi Hongchen looked at Ning Fengji, somewhat curious. "Wu Huanhao." Okay. Yi Hongchen nodded, motioned to Ning Fengji, and then walked outside. Remember, no matter what academy you join, after 1.5 years, you must lead that team into the Soul Master Finals. Just walk to the door. Jian Diluo Chenxin's words suddenly came. Yi Hongchen paused, turned his head, and the corners of his mouth raised with confidence. "Teacher, you still don't believe me? What have I said before? Don't be too arrogant and complacent. You have to know that there are people outside of people, and there are heaven outside of heaven. Okay, I've heard you say this no less than 30 times. Yi Hongchen curled his lips, and two spirit rings appeared under his feet again. The yellow spirit ring lit up, and the four long swords immediately circled Yi Hongchen's body, spinning quickly. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's figure gradually lifted into the air and flew towards the distance. Chen Xian looked at Yi Hongchen's disappearing back, and a touch of reluctance appeared in her eyes. "Uncle Jian, what college do you think Hongchen would choose?" Ning Fengji came to Chen Xian with a smile on his face. "It doesn't matter what academy. As long as it's not from the Spirit Hall, it's okay. Don't worry, with the words I just said, with Hongchen's intelligence, I will definitely not go to the Martial Soul Palace. On the contrary, I felt that Hongchen should go to the academy established in the former Golden Iron Triangle." Ning Fengji said meaningfully. "Oh, why?" Chen Xian was a little confused. He didn't even know what the college was called. "Uncle Jian, haven't you noticed that Hongchen has been exploring one thing a few years ago? Could it be about the soul, saint named Fred?" Ning Fengji nodded slowly and looked at a place not far away, which was the center of the Cabello glazed glass sect. "Yes, Fred Shrek Academy. I have long wanted Rong Rong to go." Chapter 0379. 10,000 years old beast, white winged sky snake, not to mention what Ning Fengji said to Jian Diluo Chenxin after Yi Hongchen left. At this moment, Yi Hongchen had left the seven treasure glazed glass sect and was rushing to the Tiando Great Forest. There was a huge gathering of soul beasts there, and he also wanted to hunt down a 10,000-year-old beast there personally to advance to the 30th level of the soul sect. Without a word, Yi Hongchen soon came to the Tiando Forest without a rest. Next, it's time to look for a soul beast. Tang San can get the 10,000-year spirit ring in the fourth one, and I will get the 10,000-year spirit ring in the third one. Looking at the towering tree above her head, Yi Hongchen secretly set a goal for herself. He has not forgotten the task given to him by the system to become the strongest person in the world and become a god. This also meant that he had to surpass Tang San. If he couldn't compare Tang San above the spirit ring, how could he surpass it? Thinking of this, Yi Hongchun moved his feet, and his whole person seemed to have turned into a gust of wind, speeding up in the Tiando forest with great ease. Moreover, he did not use his soul power. This is also his own martial arts, light as a swallow. Ho. After searching for a full afternoon, in the evening, after Yi Hongchun was exhausted, a voice suddenly came. Damn it, where do you want to go? Leave it to Lao Tzu. Someone. When Yi Hongchun heard these words, he immediately reacted, moving his feet and rushing to the place where the sound just came from. Soon, two people appeared in Yi Hongchun's sight. A middle-aged man who is short in stature but looks rather sturdy, and a teenager about 15 years old. The middle-aged man was wearing a large open suit, a short, clean hair, and 7 dazzling spirit rings appeared at his feet. He is actually a soul saint. Another teenager, dressed in white aristocratic clothes, with long golden hair and a pair of different colored eyes, was behind a white tiger. And that fierce tiger actually has a pair of eyes of different colors. Under his feet, 3 spirit rings suddenly appeared, and the 2 of them were chasing a flying bird soul beast with wings. Yi Hongchun, who was not new to Delua continent, recognized the name of the soul beast at a glance. White-winged sky snake. Although the white-winged sky snake is not the strongest, its speed, even the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake can't match it. Yi Hongchun's eyes lit up, and he had already made an idea in his heart for the white-winged sky snake who was still fleeing frantically. Moreover, watching its speed, at least it has reached the standard of 10,000-year soul beast. After all, is there another 1,000-year soul beast that can run for so long under Soul Saint's hand and still be able to evade attacks? 5th spirit ability, Gravity Squeeze. Just when Yi Hongchun was thinking about something wrong, the brawny voice of that brawny man suddenly appeared in his ears. In the next second, Yi Hongchun, who was hiding behind a tree and observing, felt that the gravity on her body suddenly increased, and her body seemed to be squeezed, and the white-winged sky snake that was flying in the air suddenly fell down. The 4th spirit ability, Location Tracking. The 2nd spirit ability, Powerful Vajrapalm. Boom! Yi Hongchun just released his martial soul star sword to offset the pressure caused by gravity squeezing. In the next second, a series of sounds came again, and then there was a sound of the ground being blown apart. Where did you hear this spirit ability? Dolly King Kong? This isn't this Zao Wow Keys Dolly King Kong Bear. Chapter 0380. I should be a monster. Where did you hear this spirit ability? Dolly King Kong? This isn't this Zao Wow Keys Dolly King Kong Bear. After hearing that sound, Yi Hongchun suddenly stuck his head from behind the tree and looked into the distance. Sure enough, that brawny Yi Hongchun really looked at him, the more he felt that he was Zao Wow Ki. The 2nd spirit ability, by Huli Guanghua. At this moment, the 15-year-old boy standing next to the strong man gave a sudden shout. In the next second, a yellow spirit ring suddenly lit up, and a golden light flew out of his mouth, hitting the white-winged heavenly snake lying on the ground. Not good. Seeing this, Yi Hongchun didn't have time to think about it, and when he moved his feet, the 2nd spirit ring, the purple spirit ring, suddenly lit up. Hold head high. In the next second, a voice that was like the sound of a dragon's roar suddenly started from a star sword. At this moment, Yi Hongchun had already arrived in front of the white-winged heavenly snake, holding the star sword, and stabbing the rushing Baihu Liebwa with a sword. The 2nd spirit ability, Dragon Roar Ice Soul. An ice-white sword shadow instantly slammed into the golden light wave in front of you. Boom! In the next second, the Baihuli light wave and the icy white sword shadow instantly canceled out and dissipated. However, there were a few more sword marks and some ice cubes on the ground. What? Dai Mubai let out a horror after seeing his Baihuli light wave disappear. The next second, when he saw Yi Hongchun standing in front of the white-winged sky snake, a handsome face suddenly sank. Boy, who are you? You dare to stop us. Can't you see these 7 spirit rings on my body? Zhao Wuji looked at Yi Hongchen in front of him, and he was immediately happy. Only a big soul master with 2 spirit rings, still a little hairy boy, appeared in front of him so abruptly. You too. Can you give me this white-winged heavenly snake? After all, you don't have any signs of breakthrough at this moment. You're killed in vain. Why don't you give it to me? A faint smile appeared on Yi Hongchen's face, and Dai Mubai said to Zhao Wuji very kindly. Speaking of it, the 2 of them also came in to find the spirit ring, and they found a 3rd spirit ring for Dai Mubai yesterday. Just when he wanted to return today, he was sneak attacked by the white-winged sky snake, and Zhao Wuji couldn't help it. This happened. Although what you said is not unreasonable, how can a 10,000-year soul beast be let to you in vain? What's more, you, a little big spirit master, are sure to be able to absorb this 10,000-year spirit ring. Ha! When Zhao Wuji and Dai Mubai heard what Yi Hongchen said, they were all taken aback. The next second, Zhao Wuji suddenly laughed without any scruples. Even Dai Mubai, with a gloomy expression, looked at Yi Hongchen with a foolish look. Well, you 2 don't have to worry, and I'm not an empty glove, White Wolf. If this soul beast can be let to me, I will join your Shrek Academy. The smile on Yi Hongchen's face remained undiminished, but rather calmly said to the 2 of them, Boy, although you don't know how you know we are from Shrek Academy, but do you know that we Shrek? I know, your Shrek Academy only accepts monsters, but I should also be classified as monsters. Before Zhao Wuji could finish speaking, Yi Hongchen interrupted directly and let the star sword float above his right hand. Yi Hongchen, 12 years old, 13 years old in 1 month, 29th level war spirit master, can also be used as a control-type spirit master, weapon spirit. Today I broke through the 30th level, so I came to look for the 3rd spirit ring. Chapter 0381. Dying Mubai is looking for something. Yi Hongchen, 12 years old, 13 years old in 1 month, 29th level war spirit master, can also be used as a control-type spirit master, weapon spirit. Today I broke through the 30th level, so I came to look for the 3rd spirit ring. After hearing Yi Hongchen's self-introduction, Zhao Wuji and Dai Mubai almost looked as if they were constipated, and they didn't believe Yi Hongchen's words at all. The soul deity who is almost 13 years old? Is this real? Thinking of this, Zhao Wuji's breathing suddenly became sharp, and he quickly rushed towards Yi Hongchen. When Yi Hongchen saw it, although he instinctively wanted to resist Zhao Wuji, he abruptly endured it. After Zhao Wuji came to Yi Hongchen, he directly held Yi Hongchen's bare hands with one hand and closed his big eyes. After a while, Zhao Wuji's closed eyes opened, looking at Yi Hongchen with horror. It's really the age of 12 and close to 13. Bone age can't deceive people. Did you cultivate yourself? Although Zhao Wuji wanted to accept the monster Yi Hongchen directly, after all, the details of Yi Hongchen hadn't been figured out yet. After all, being able to cultivate this 13-year-old soul sovereign force is definitely not small. Yes, because I am innately full of soul power, I practice faster, and I'm also a disciple of Jiandoloa Qinshin. Yi Hongchen hurriedly took his hand out of Zhao Wuji's hand. The expression on his face was extremely indifferent. Even in case Zhao Wuji suddenly wanted to kill the heart of genius, Yi Hongchen also moved out of the name of Qinshin. What? It turned out to be a disciple of Sword Doloa. No wonder, no wonder. When Zhao Wuji heard Yi Hongchen's words, his face suddenly turned blue and purple. A pair of big eyes turned back and forth, as if thinking about something. Can King Fudo Ming accept what I just said? Anyway, I originally planned to go to Shrek Academy after acquiring the 3rd spirit ring. Yi Hongchen didn't give Zhao Wuji extra time to think about it. He planned to speak clearly. Well, since you're also a monster, it's okay to enter my Shrek Academy. Then this spirit ring is useless to keep, so I will give it to you. Zhao Wuji nodded, pointing to the white-winged heavenly snake lying on the ground behind Yi Hongchen. Wait for teacher Zhao. If he wants a spirit ring, or he wants to enter Shrek Academy, he has to go through an actual battle, right? Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet. The young man behind Zhao Wuji Dai Mubai suddenly came to Yi Hongchen, holding his hands fiercely, a pair of different pupils staring at Yi Hongchen. Oh, Mubai, you mean? When Zhao Wuji heard Dai Mubai's words, his eyes lit up, as if he knew what Dai Mubai meant. Fight with me, you won. Soul Beast, Shrek, you can have it, Dai Mubai said coldly towards Yi Hongchen. Fight here. Yi Hongchen looked around slightly hesitantly, frowning slightly. Why? Don't you dare. When Dai Mubai saw Yi Hongchen's appearance, he thought he was counseled and didn't dare to fight him. I don't dare. I'm sorry, except for being brave, I don't have any advantages. Yi Hongchen heard the words and snorted coldly, and the blue star sword was suddenly in his hand, and the whole person's temperament began to change. It seems that the whole person has become a sharp sword. That's good, Dai Mubai said. A white light emerged behind him, and a white tiger suddenly appeared. Dai Mubai, 30th level soul sovereign, beast martial soul, evil eye white tiger, storming type war spirit master, please advise. Yi Hongchen, the 29th level great spirit master, weapon spirit, star sword, storming type war spirit master, please advise. Chapter 0382. Yi Hongchen vs. Dai Mubai. Yi Hongchen, the 29th level great spirit master, weapon spirit, star sword, storming type war spirit master, please advise. After Yi Hongchen heard Dai Mubai's words, he also introduced himself again. Well, if that's the case, let's start. When Zhao Wuji saw this, he nodded. The first spirit ability, increase sword rotation. Two halos began to rise under Yi Hongchen's feet, one yellow and the other purple. Among them, the yellow spirit ring suddenly radiated a dazzling light. Hum, 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 hum. The four long swords appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, quickly circled and spun. With just a few broken swords, how can I place my attack? When Dai Mubai saw the four long swords spinning on Yi Hongchen's body, he despised it. In the next second, three spirit rings rose up under Dai Mubai's feet, two yellow and one purple. The second spirit ability by Huli Guangbua. Dai Mubai put his hands on his mouth, and a golden light burst out from the center of his closed hands. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Jin Guang slammed into Yi Hongchen instantly. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen stood still, planning to take over Dai Mubai's second spirit ability without avoiding it. If you want to die, you can't blame me. Seeing Yi Hongchen's support, Dai Mubai murmured. Although he is highly talented, he is young and has little experience after all. Although Dai Mubai's second spirit ring is only 100 years old, how can he be so low level? Even Zhao Wuji shook his head after seeing such a situation. Boom! At this moment, Bai Cai also slammed into Yi Hongchen. Bang! 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 In the next moment, Dai Mubai and Zhao Wuji opened their eyes wide, and their eyes were full of unbelief. Because after hitting Yi Hongchen, the golden light turned into many small golden lights and bounced back. The trees and vegetation around Yi Hongchen were crushed by the bounced white tiger light waves. Call! A gust of wind blew by, and a young man in white gradually appeared in the eyes of Dai Mubai and Zhao Wuji. The four long swords on his body were still spinning quickly, without stopping at all. And there was not a single trace of damage on his body. It was intact. What? How is this possible? When Dai Mubai saw this, his eyes slowly shrank. My increased sword rotation can knock away the long-range spirit skills of other spirit masters, or can kill the enemy more and more. When the words were over, Yi Hongchen quickly waved his feet on the ground, piercing Dai Mubai with a sword. The weapon spirit wants to hard steel with the beast spirit. You're afraid you haven't been taught. After seeing Yi Hongchen daring to kill first, Dai Mubai was shocked and angry. And after an angry shout, the evil eyes white tiger behind him immediately waved his claws. When the extremely sharp claws were caught directly on Yi Hongchen's star sword, Yi Hongchen's body immediately kept a distance from Dai Mubai, moving forward without a point. At this moment, the long sword surrounding Yi Hongchen turned to Dai Mubai's stomach like a gear. What? When Dai Mubai saw this, he was shocked and immediately gave up his plan to continue with Yi Hongchun Xingqian's sword, and his whole body regressed suddenly. I've said that by increasing the sword rotation, you can kill the enemy more and more. The second spirit ability, the Dragon Roar Ice Soul. Yi Hongchun saw Dai Mubai, who was retreating, and said faintly, the purple spirit ring that was a circle larger than the yellow spirit ring suddenly lit up. Hold head high. The star sword in his hand suddenly sounded like a dragon chant, and Dai Mubai, who was retreating, seemed to have been attacked, and his eyes froze. Chapter 0383. Winning with one move step by step. It turned out to be a mental attack. Even Yi Hongchun didn't expect that the Dragon Howl of the second spirit ability would even carry a mental attack. After all, he had only used it in front of Jian Doloa Qinshin and Bon Doloa Guron, and the two of them are titled Doloa, and they are several times stronger than Yi Hongchun's mental power. Naturally, they won't have any influence on them. In the next second, Yi Hongchun slammed on the ground fiercely, and the whole person came first and came directly to Dai Mubai. An ice-white sword shadow instantly condensed in front of Yi Hongchun, stabbed Dai Mubai together. Dai Mubai, who was retreating, had no time to change his course at this moment. The third spirit ability, the White Tiger King Kong Transformation. The first spirit ability, the White Tiger Body Barrier. After Dai Mubai saw that he couldn't hide, he immediately began to prepare to fight. The purple spirit ring on his body and the yellow spirit ring at the bottom lit up together. In the next second, Dai Mubai's figure unexpectedly began to show some changes, becoming extremely white tigers, and the aura of the whole person were more than twice as strong as before. Amazingly, it was his third spirit ability, the White Tiger King Kong Transformation. A golden light appeared in front of Dai Mubai. Obviously, this spirit ability was defensive. Do you think this will be able to withstand my long Xiao Bingpa? Yi Hongchun smiled coldly when he saw it. His direction remained the same, and he stabbed Dai Mubai directly. Call! At the moment, Dai Mubai actually held Yi Hongchun's star sword firmly with both hands. Boom! A white ray of light passed through Dai Mubai's body, and at the corner of Dai Mubai's mouth, a blood stain suddenly flowed out. Ha ha! Don't you resist it? Dai Mubai ignored his stump, and instead grinned at Yi Hongchun in front of him. Hearing this, Yi Hongchun's stern face suddenly smiled and said lightly, "Oh, really?" When Dai Mubai heard Yi Hongchun's words, there was a burst of doubt in his heart, and an unknown feeling suddenly came to his mind. In the next second, an extremely cold temperature began to rise from under Dai Mubai's feet. In just a moment of effort, Dai Mubai already felt that he was in an extremely cold, extremely ice place. The whole person's body is also like ice cubes, extremely cold. Even moving his arm at this time is extremely difficult, let alone fight against Yi Hongchun. Suddenly, he lost his fighting ability. Why is my second spirit ability called Dragon Howl Ice Soul? That's because it has an ice attribute attack. Although it is not substantive, it is enough to make you lose combat effectiveness. After Yi Hongchun explained to Dai Mubai, who was a little overcast, he put away the star sword. Ms. Zhao, I should have won right now, so I could be considered a student of Shrek Academy. It is not an exaggeration to call you a teacher. Yi Hongchun turned around and looked at Zhao Wuji, who bowed slightly, and said only after his etiquette was in place. Hearing Yi Hongchun's words, Zhao Wuji recovered from the unpredictable battle situation just now. A pair of eyes stared at Yi Hongchun blankly, and he never thought that this kid would win Dai Mubai in this way. Moreover, this was completely out of luck, as if as soon as Dai Mubai shot him, he had already figured out the last sword. This terrifying intelligence. Zhao, after seeing Zhao Wuji still looking at him without saying a word, Yi Hongchun reminded him again. Oh, you won then. Now you're also a student of my Shrek. This soul beast will be handed over to you. Quickly break through the soul sovereign. Chapter 0384. Absorbing 10,000 years of soul ring, Oh, you won. Then, now you're also a student of my Shrek. This soul beast will be handed over to you. Quickly break through the soul sovereign. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words again, Zhao Waoqi finally recovered, and then nodded towards Yi Hongchen. Thank you, Teacher Zhao. Teacher Zhao has helped me protect the law. Yi Hongchen nodded indifferently, and then walked towards the white-winged sky snake. A long white hair without the slightest restriction, floating behind him, made Yi Hongchen look like a kind of dusty temperament. It's hard to imagine that he was just about 13 years old, so Zhao Waoqi didn't believe in Yi Hongchen's age. Teacher Zhao, I lost. After Dai Mubai's body gradually recovered, he walked to the side of Zhao Wuji, looking at Yi Hongchen with complicated eyes. No, there are not many differences between you anyway. If you don't underestimate the enemy at first, the outcome will not be known. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji shook his head indifferently and said to Dai Mubai, and what he said was not unreasonable. After all, Dai Mubai had really underestimated the enemy before, which led to being defeated by Yi Hongchen's last move. Otherwise, if he had used the White Tiger's first spirit ability to protect the body barrier first, it would be extremely difficult for Yi Hongchen to freeze Dai Mubai's body with the chill of the Dragon Rorai soul. The other side, after Yi Hongchen came to the side of the white-winged sky snake, he did not hesitate to summon the Wuhuan Xingqian sword again, a sword that directly resulted in the white-winged sky snake with no resistance at all. A black spirit ring emerged directly from the white-winged sky snake. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen didn't hesitate, sitting cross-legged on the ground, spinning the dragon through the 9 tribulations, and began to pull the black 10,000-year spirit ring. Teacher Zhao, do you really think he can really use the 10,000-year spirit ring as his third spirit ring? After seeing that Yi Hongchen really dared to absorb the 10,000-year spirit ring, Dai Mubai couldn't help but admire Yi Hongchen and then asked Zhao Wuji. Zhao Waoqi frowned when he heard Dai Mubai's words, shook his head, and said helplessly, I don't know. At the time, he was able to absorb it only when he looked at him with confidence. Teacher Zhao, you have to think clearly. If Sword de Luoyu, the title known as the strongest attack on the Dolua continent. Although Dai Mubai hadn't finished speaking, there was a sense of anxiety in Zhao Waoqi's heart, and he secretly mentioned God in his heart. If Yi Hongchen seemed to be wrong, he would immediately take action to prevent Yi Hongchen from absorbing the 10,000-year spirit ring. Although doing so would cause Yi Hongchen's spirit power level to be lowered, it was better than letting him die. So it would be better for Ho Jiandolo to trouble him. Unfortunately, nothing happened in the next scene that made Zhao Waoqi feel that Yi Hongchen could not support it. Yi Hongchen's complexion was relieved, and it was not necessary until the black spirit ring sank into the bottom of his feet. And the same was true. There was no pain at all. This is amazing. When did the 10,000-year spirit ring absorb so well? Zhao Wuji widened his eyes and circled Yi Hongchen a few times. Even Dai Mubai was irritated by Yi Hongchen at this moment, regretting that he had chosen the 1,000-year spirit beast as the spirit ring. The 10,000-year spirit ring is indeed difficult to absorb. Even I, just a little bit, was called out in pain. Yi Hongchen heard Zhao Waoqi's words, slowly shook his head, and said lightly, Zhao Waoqi, Dai Mubai, why did they think of beating him when they heard Yi Hongchen's words? Chapter 0385, White Phantom, that Yi Hongchen, what is your third spirit ability? When Dai Mubai saw Yi Hongchen standing up, he didn't say a word, as if he was waiting for something, and finally couldn't help but ask curiously. The third spirit ability, I'm still thinking about the name. Yi Hongchen put his hand on his chin, making a look of thinking. Feelings, you just look contemplative. So what name was you thinking of? For Zhao Waoqi, several black lines suddenly rose above Dai Mubai's forehead. I didn't expect at all that a person who looked extremely indifferent would actually think about the name of the spirit ability. So, Sabao. Well, since it can make me grow wings, and it's still white, it can also increase the speed twice. Then, call this spirit ability a White Phantom. Yi Hongchen snapped his fingers suddenly. His eyes lit up, and he murmured, So, what use is the sentence you just said that can increase twice the speed? When Dai Mubai heard Yi Hongchen's words, he immediately covered his face. I originally thought that a normal little monster was finally coming to Shrek Academy. As a result, Dai Mubai now seemed to have seen the essence of Yi Hongchen and named him Kwangma. Whether he is useful, Dai Mubai, do you want to fight again? Yi Hongchen shook his head and looked at Dai Mubai with interest. There is a sense of war in the body. Okay, come. Just now, I underestimated the enemy, and now you're also in the soul. Can I underestimate the enemy? Hearing the words, Dai Mubai immediately made a combat action, and a touch of combat intent appeared on his body. Upon seeing this, Zhao Wuji slowly clenched his fists, and in the next second, he directly punched Yi Hongchen and Dai Mubai on the head. The two were directly beaten by Zhao Yuekui on the ground, and a sore feeling suddenly appeared on their heads. Zhao Yuekui looked at the two lying on the ground and said angrily, "What to fight? Now it depends on the occasion. If it attracts a powerful soul beast, do you want to live?" Then Teacher Zhao also asked Dai Mubai to fight with me just now. Yi Hongchen covered his head and rolled his eyes at Zhao Wuji. If he couldn't beat Zhao Yuekui now, he really wanted to give this bear a punch directly. Just now is now. Go back to Shrek Academy first, then it doesn't matter how you play. After hearing Yi Hongchen's mouth back, Zhao Yuekui gave Yi Hongchen a stare and then said decisively, "Okay, Yi Hongchen, it's nice to meet you. Let's fight again when we go back." Dai Mubai stood up from the ground at this moment, stretched out his hand to Yi Hongchen, and said with a smile. Yi Hongchen held Dai Mubai's stretched hand in one hand, followed his strength, stood up directly from the ground, and said, "Okay, then go back and fight again." Seeing Yi Hongchen, Dai Mubai finally had no idea of fighting again, and Zhao Yuekui was finally relieved. Afterwards, Zhao Yuekui, Dai Mubai, and Yi Hongchen also began to rush out of the Tiando forest. No words all the way. 3 minutes later, Yi Hongchen followed Zhao Wuji and Dai Mubai personally, finally came to Shrek Academy. Even if Yi Hongchen knew about the poverty of Shrek Academy a long time ago, some of them were shocked now. The wooden gate and the plaque are also wooden, and even the 5 big characters of Shrek Academy seem to have been written on randomly, without any sense of ritual. Generally speaking, when Yi Hongchen saw Shrek Academy, 2 big characters appeared in his heart. Random. Chapter 0386. Evil Fire Phoenix Ma Hongjun. At this moment, Zhao Yuekui walked to Yi Hongchen's side. Even if Yi Hongchen was only about 13 years old, he was already 165 centimeters tall. It was half a head taller than Zhao Yuekui, so that Zhao Yuekui had to look up at Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen, although you are a disciple of Sword de Loi, you can only follow when you come to Shrek Academy. Otherwise, you can only withdraw from Shrek Academy, no matter how good and high your talent is. Do you know? Zhao Yuekui's eyes, like brown bears, were staring at Yi Hongchen, and he reminded Yi Hongchen to be alert. Teacher Zhao, do you think that Yi Hongchen looks like the kind of person who acts like a fool with his own identity? Yi Hongchen spread his hands, and even though he was warned by Zhao Yuekui now, his expression was still extremely indifferent, and his gray-white eyes were still dull. Whether you are or not, I just give you a warning, don't offend it. After Zhao Yuekui finished speaking, he turned around and said to Dai Mubai, "Dai Mubai, let me talk to the dean about Yi Hongchen first. If you report it, Yi Hongchen will leave it to you." Dai Mubai nodded and agreed very readily. "Yes, Teacher Zhao, I will definitely let Yi Hongchen adapt to Shrek Academy soon." "Well, that's fine." After Zhao Yuekui nodded in satisfaction, he walked out of Shrek Academy. Soon, only Yi Hongchen and Dai Mubai were left in front of Shrek Academy. "Let's go, Yi Hongchen. I will take you to get to know our Shrek Academy." Dai Mubai smiled towards Yi Hongchen. "Excuse me." Yi Hongchen nodded and followed Dai Mubai into Shrek Academy. I have to say that although the decoration of Shrek Academy is extremely poor, the floor space is not very small. At least Yi Hongchen is not picky. Hongchen, in fact, we originally had only 3 students in Shrek Academy. That's me and Oscar Fatty no Ma Hongjun. Dai Mubai walked in with Yi Hongchen while introducing other students to Yi Hongchen. So, if you add it now, there are only 4 students, right? Yi Hongchen nodded slightly when he heard the words. Yes, Oscar, the Auxiliary Soul Master, is now a 26th-level Great Soul Master. And Ma Hongjuan's Fat Man is amazing after all. His martial soul mutated, the grass chicken turned into a phoenix, the top beast martial soul, the 24th level Great Soul Master. When Dai Mubai talked about Ma Hongjun, there was a smile on his face, the kind that couldn't help it. Boss Dai, are you talking about me? However, Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet, and a high-decibel voice suddenly came from behind Yi Hongchen and Dai Mubai. In the next second, a fat man wearing a fire-red coat robe swaggered to Yi Hongchen and Dai Mubai's face. Hey, you kid, I don't seem to have seen it before. Boss Dai, who is he? After seeing Yi Hongchen's face, the fat man suddenly became puzzled and asked Dai Mubai. Hongchen, he is the Ma Hongjun I just told you about. Saoji, his name is Yi Hongchen, and he just joined our Shrek Academy. Dai Mubai first introduced Ma Hongjun to Yi Hongchen very politely, and then looked at Ma Hongjun with disgust. Dai old big, how many times do you want me to say? I am Phoenix, not a grass chicken. Ma Hongjun suddenly narrowed his eyes after hearing Dai Mubai's introduction to him. Dai Mubai suddenly slammed a fist in front of his eyes and said unceremoniously to Ma Hongjun, What? The grass chicken? Do you want to be beaten? Chapter 0387. Isn't it the grass chicken? Dai Mubai suddenly slammed a fist in front of his eyes and said unceremoniously to Ma Hongjun, What? The grass chicken? Do you want to be beaten? After Ma Hongjun saw Dai Mubai's movements, although he was a little frightened, in order to leave a good image in front of the new students, he actually showed a disdainful smile on his face. Dai Mubai, don't think that if I call you the boss, you think I'm scared. Why? Didn't you hear that you went to the Tiendo Great Forest to seek the 3rd spirit ring? Come, give me some insights to the uncle. Ma Hongjun wiped the bridge of his nose with one hand, and he actually irritated Dai Mubai. Do you still need my 3rd spirit ability to deal with you, grass chicken? Dai Mubai glanced at Ma Hongjun disdainfully, and then said coldly, In the next second, a white tiger with a vicious appearance suddenly floated behind Dai Mubai. Evil Eye White Tiger. Even under the feet, 3 halos gradually appeared, extremely bright. Yellow, purple. Especially the 3rd spirit ring, the strongest purple spirit ring floating until Dai Mubai was close to his waist. The light was even more dazzling. 1,000-year spirit ring. Ma Hongjun slowly swallowed after seeing the purple spirit ring. Don't stop, Boss Dai. I just made a joke in front of new students. How can we, as brothers, take the lead in fighting? Ma Hongjun immediately persuaded him, with a pleasing smile on his face, and laughed at Dai Mubai. Fatty, you're not good at this. Too easy to persuade. Dai Mubai snorted when seeing this, and put away the spirit and spirit ring. No, I'm afraid it's because your opponent is Boss Dai. If someone else, even if I can't beat him, he must be called Grandpa Puff. Yi Hongchen couldn't hold back when he heard Ma Hongjuan's untuned words, and suddenly laughed. His smile was directly seen by Ma Hongjun, and his old face suddenly sank. Good guy, a student who is new to the academy, even laughed at brother. As this continues, where does he put his face as Ma Hongjun as a brother? Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun took a big step and walked to Yi Hongchen, looking at Yi Hongchen with small eyes. Boy, what do you mean by laughter? Do you look down on me, Ma Hongjun? Suddenly hearing Ma Hongjuan's words, Yi Hongchen's smile gradually faded, and his complexion returned to indifferent again, and said indifferently, It's not worth noting, but I think you are indeed very scary. Yi Hongchen didn't even think that Ma Hongjun, one of the 7 Shrek monsters in the future, the most explosive among the 7 monsters, would be so embarrassed at this time. As soon as he saw Dai Mubai's 1,000-year spirit ring, he dared not do it. Counsel? Then I will let you see who is counseling. Evil Fire Phoenix. Ma Hongjun was immediately angry when he heard Yi Hongchen's words. A chubby body quickly fell backwards, and a fiery red flame instantly rose from him. In the next second, A flaming red phoenix bird appeared behind Ma Hongjun. His body is only a little bigger than Ma Hongjun. From a distance, he really feels like a grass chicken. It's no wonder that Dai Mubai called him a grass chicken. Two yellow, centuries-old spirit rings suddenly rose from Ma Hongjun's sturdy and short legs. Ma Hongjun, level 24 Great Soul Master, Wu Geng, Evil Fire Phoenix. Ma Hongjun suddenly burst out his spirit power level loudly. Bah, isn't Wu Geng just a grass chicken? Ha ha! When Dai Mubai saw this, he didn't think it was a big deal, suddenly clutching his belly and bending over to mock him. Chapter 0388. Ma Hongjun is dumbfounded. Bah, what phoenix? Isn't Wu Geng just a grass chicken? Ha ha ha. When Dai Mubai saw this, he didn't think it was a big deal, suddenly clutching his stomach and bending over to mock him. Boss Dai, I haven't provoked you now. Why can't I save face? If the girl finds out in the future, how can I do it? As soon as he heard Dai Mubai's words, Ma Hongjun's anger rose again. His eyes seemed to be burning. Fatty, save the time. Look at your physique, your appearance. Do you still want to be a girl? Even if I introduce two girls to you, you won't have a chance. Dai Mubai rolled his eyes slowly, and he didn't believe that Ma Hongjun could soak a girl like this. Then you give me a try, don't you know? As soon as Ma Hongjun heard Dai Mubai say to introduce the girl to him, or two, his eyes that seemed to be flaming suddenly bent. Okay, one day I will introduce you to you, so don't think about bullying the new students. When Dai Mubai saw Ma Hongjun's unbelief, he smiled meaningfully and blinked at Yi Hongchen beside him. Yes, don't bully me. Seeing Dai Mubai's wink, Yi Hongchen immediately understood the spirit and followed Dai Mubai's words. Don't worry, I won't be too heavy. As long as you call Senior Ma a few times now, I won't fight you. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Ma Hongjun thought that Yi Hongchen's clothes were soft and said in a posture that he thought was extremely handsome. Based on your words, I also promise that I won't act too hard on you. Yi Hongchen slowly shook his head and said seriously. When Ma Hongjun heard what Yi Hongchen said, he was startled, thinking he had heard it wrong, and then suddenly laughed wildly. Boss Dai, did you just hear that? This new student said he wouldn't be too heavy? Ha ha, are you funny? Suddenly, Ma Hongjun covered his stomach with both hands, as if he had heard a big joke. I heard it, but they're just telling the truth. Is that funny? Dai Mubai shook his head helplessly when he saw Ma Hongjun's appearance. Even his Dai Mubai was defeated before Yi Hongchen reached the 30th level Soul Sovereign. He didn't believe that Ma Hongjun alone could defeat Yi Hongchen with the 24th level Great Soul Master. Hey, Boss Dai, did you hear what I said? Ma Hongjun suddenly became suspicious when he saw that Dai Mubai hadn't even helped him to speak. What doubted was whether Dai Mubai could hear what he said. You don't have to doubt whether Dai Mubai heard what you said, because what he said is true. At this moment, Yi Hongchen shook his head. A cold light lit up in a pair of gray eyes. After speaking, his right hand was slowly raised, and a blue light appeared on the right hand. In the next second, a blue long sword hovered over Yi Hongchen's right hand. Above the sword, there are still five-pointed stars sunken in. 3 dazzling auras also slowly rose from under Yi Hongchen's feet. Yellow, purple, black. 3 spirit rings of different colors represent different ages. When Ma Hongjun saw that Yi Hongchen's first spirit ring was yellow, he just wanted to ridicule him, but he couldn't say it. 3 spirit rings. Soul Lord, the first spirit ring, 100-year spirit ring, is still normal, and the second spirit ring is actually a 1,000-year spirit ring. The third spirit ring was actually directly on the 10,000-year spirit ring. Ma Hongjun was confused at this moment, and he couldn't believe the spirit ring in front of him. 10,000 years spirit ring. Chapter 0389. Active Dai Mubai 10,000 years spirit ring, or Soul Sovereign. Ma Hongjun was dumbfounded when he saw this. He didn't even think that this new college student would have a higher cultivation base than him. Moreover, the second spirit ring is directly a 1,000-year spirit ring. That's all, although Ma Hongjun is surprised but not dumbfounded. But this Nima's third spirit ring has been directly for thousands of years. How can this allow him to accept the facts in front of him? He doesn't even have a 1,000-year spirit ring yet. You, how old are you? Ma Hongjun slowly swallowed his saliva. His eyes couldn't hide in horror and asked towards Yi Hongchen. I'm almost 13 years old this year. Why? Senior Ma, are you persuaded? Yi Hongchen smiled faintly when he heard the words and then replied. He didn't want to end this way. He still wanted to know his true strength now. How could it be possible? Today, Senior Ma will come and try your genes and tails. Although Ma Hongjuan's heart was extremely persuaded, he heard Yi Hongchen's sentence of Senior Ma. Suddenly a rush of blood surged into his heart, and his fighting spirit soared. How about a high spirit power level? What about the 1,000-year spirit ring? What about the 10,000-year spirit ring? He is still the top fire attribute beast spirit. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun suddenly felt a sense of war in his heart. The first soul ability, Phoenix Firewire. When the words were over, the first spirit ring on Ma Hongjuan's body suddenly lit up with a yellow light, and in the next second, a fiery red light emitting hot temperature spouted from his mouth. Rush to Yi Hongchen. The first soul skill, increase the sword rotation. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen suddenly grasped the hilt of the Xingqian sword with his right hand, turned his back behind him, and said lightly, "Hum." The yellow spirit ring suddenly flashed. 8 blue long swords suddenly appeared beside Yi Hongchen. Wrap around him and turn quickly. The phoenix line of fire rushed over, but Yi Hongchen didn't even have any plans to evade, and stood there blankly. Since you want to lose, you can't blame me. Ma Hongjun muttered with joy on his face when he saw this. Dai Mubai's position was right next to Ma Hongjun, so Ma Hongjun's voice was clearly heard by him. Suddenly, Dai Mubai's mind directly saw the scene of him fighting Yi Hongchen. At that time, when he saw that Yi Hongchen wanted to carry it down, his thoughts were like this. As a result, his Bai Huli light wave was directly blocked by Yi Hongchen's first spirit ability, Without Mercy. Boom! At this moment, Ma Hongjuan's phoenix line of fire also hit Yi Hongchen, and a whistling sound instantly sounded. A burst of hot temperature suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body. Although the 8 long swords that stood in front of Yi Hongchen blocked the phoenix firewire, the temperature from the phoenix firewire could not be stopped. It's a bit of miscalculation, but this temperature can't help me. Yi Hongchen shook his head helplessly, a little disappointed in his miscalculation. Hoo-hoo-hoo. In the next second, the phoenix line of fire that collided with Yi Hongchen's body turned into one after another tiny rays of light and bounced out. Bang! 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 Above the ground, even some wooden houses were hit by the line of fire that the bullet flew out, and a burst of flame suddenly appeared. Upon seeing this, Ma Hongjun hurriedly closed the phoenix firewire and wanted to put out the fire. Fatty, you go on. I'll put out the fire. However, Dai Mubai took a step ahead, not forgetting a believing look at Ma Hongjun. It seems to be saying to Ma Hongjun, "Come on, you can win Yi Hongchen." Several black lines suddenly appeared on Ma Hongjuan's forehead. Good fellow, let you help you or not, and let you be so active if you didn't let you help you. Chapter 0390. Defeating Ma Hongjun. Good guy, let you help you or not. When you don't let you help, you come and help yourself again. Ma Hongjuan's heart at this moment really wanted to cry without tears, and originally wanted to use this excuse to end the duel with Yi Hongchen. Be careful, I'm going to attack, Yi Hongchen said lightly while looking at Ma Hongjun in front of him. Hum. In the next second, the purple spirit ring on his body suddenly lit up with a dazzling light. The second soul skill, Long Xiao Bingpa. Yi Hongchen's feet quickly stepped on the ground, and the long sword behind her back suddenly swung out. Stab Ma Hongjun. Hold head high. A dragon chant sounded from the star sword in Yi Hongchen's hand. Ma Hongjun only felt that his soul had been attacked, and his eyes were black. When he recovered, Yi Hongchen had already arrived in front of him. There's no way to go back, no way to avoid it. Come on. The second spirit ability, Yuhua Phoenix. Ma Hongjuan's heart sank, and he went out, intending to face Yi Hongchen head-on. Call! A fiery red light appeared on Ma Hongjuan's body, and the temperature was also rising, Ma Hongjun seemed to have turned into a ball of flame at this moment. Boom! After the Xingqian sword touched the red light that appeared in front of Ma Hongjun, a wave of air instantly appeared between the two. Rolling around, bang! A red figure flew upside down, hitting a wooden house wall heavily, and the wooden wall was directly smashed. The broken pieces of wood are pressed on the figure, and this figure is Ma Hongjun. And Yi Hongchen, still standing at the place where the attacks collided with each other, did not move at all. Oh, it hurts me so hard, you guys. You're just trying to compare, and you started so hard. Ma Hongjun held his fierce mouth in both hands, and his chubby expression was crowded together, looking a bit hideous. The martial spirit had been taken away by Ma Hongjun, and at this moment, Ma Hongjun was vomiting to Yi Hongchen, who was standing in front. Yi Hongchen only smiled faintly when he heard the words, and when he waved his hand, the star sword in his hand dissipated. I'm sorry, I have control my strength, but I still hurt you. No, anyway, this fat guy resist fight. Don't look at him looking so painful. In fact, he just pretended it. As soon as Yi Hongchen finished speaking, Dai Mu Bai, who had already put out the fire, came to Yi Hongchen's side and said with one hand on Yi Hongchen's shoulder. Sure enough, after Dai Mu Bai's words were finished, Ma Hongjun, who originally seemed to be in pain all over, stood up amidst the residue of wood. Limping towards Yi Hongchen, Dai Mu Bai and the other two said, Boss Dai, what you said is wrong. I am really injured now. Oh, is your rough and fat man really hurt? Dai Mu Bai frowned when he heard the words and said angrily. Although the words were not good, his eyes showed concern. Obviously, Dai Mu Bai was a typical stiff mouth. Ma Hongjun rolled his eyes, and then, without taking care of Dai Mu Bai, went straight to Yi Hongchen. Ma Hongjun. After Ma Hongjun finished speaking, he immediately stretched out his hand. Originally, Yi Hongchen thought that Ma Hongjun would not accept him and so on, but he didn't expect it to happen. Yi Hongchen also stretched out his hand, holding a peace with Ma Hongjun. Ha 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 ha! In the next second, Yi Hongchen, Dai Mu Bai, and Ma Hongjun looked at each other and laughed together. After such a battle, the relationship between Yi Hongchen and Ma Hongjun also improved. By the way, what about the Oscar Mu Bai you mentioned? Chapter 0391. Sausage Monopoly Oscar. By the way, what about the Oscar Mu Bai you mentioned earlier? A 26-level auxiliary system, Great Spirit Master. When Yi Hongchen walked with Dai Mu Bai and Ma Hongjun to the student's residence, Yi Hongchen suddenly became puzzled. Oh, you mean Oscar? This guy is busy selling his stuff all day, just shout. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Dai Mu Bai didn't care, and after speaking, he pulled out a loud voice. Oscar, come here. There is business. Dai Mu Bai's voice was so loud that almost everyone in Shrek Academy heard it. What? Is there business? Where is it? Where is it? Just after Dai Mu Bai's echo fell, a middle-aged man, wearing a brown coat and white shirt suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, Dai Mu Bai, and Ma Hongjun. There's also a pair of glasses on the forehead, wooden eye sockets, black lenses, and sunglasses. Now, that's him. Don't look at him like a big tree. In fact, he is only 14 years old. Dai Mu Bai pointed to Oscar and shook his head, his tone filled with despair. For the entire Shrek student, he alone is the despair of a normal person. Of course, there was also a normal person at this moment. Yi Hongchen. Boss Dai, fatty, where's the business? Where's the business you just mentioned? Oscar directly ignored Dai Mu Bai's words and asked with a pair of golden light in his eyes. At the same time, Yi Hongchen was also observing Oscar, his eyes filled with scrutiny. After all, if there were no accidents, this guy would be Ning Rongrong's future husband. Although he has been teasing Ning Rongrong or bullying her for the past 5 years, he has known each other for 5 years. So naturally, he does not want her to marry a useless person. That's him, Yi Hongchen, a new student to Shrek. Dai Mu Bai pointed at Yi Hongchen. Oh, Hongchen, would you like to taste my sausage? I promise you one, and I'm still thinking about one. Upon hearing Dai Mu Bai's words, Oscar strung in front of Yi Hongchen, and he didn't know why a flesh-colored sausage appeared in his hand. A pair of eyes were filled with golden light, as if it were the light formed by gold coins. No need. After hearing Oscar's words, Yi Hongchen finally recovered and hurriedly pushed Oscar's water away. Boss Dai and Hong Chun, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. After Hong Chun settles down, I will treat him to Ma Hongjun. At this moment, Ma Hongjun turned towards Dai Mubai and Yi Hongchun and said fiercely, "Okay, I don't know you. How much money can you get as a fat guy? I'll take care of it." Dai Mubai waved his hand and signaled that Ma Hongjun could leave. Boss Dai deserves to be Boss Dai. He's very generous. Then I'll leave first. After speaking, without waiting for others to reply, Ma Hongjun ran away and soon disappeared before the eyes of Yi Hongchun, Dai Mubai, and Oscar. "Oh, Boss Dai, next time you don't have a business, don't call me like that. It's very tiring to run so far." After Ma Hongjun left, Oscar also spoke to Dai Mubai in an angry manner. Then he walked to a wooden cart not far away. On the wooden cartboard, all the meat-colored sausages. Soon, only Dai Mubai and Yi Hongchun were left in the field. "Ahem, Hongchun, don't mind, just get used to it. Let's go, I'll take you to the dormitory." Just when Yi Hongchun doubted the behavior of these two people, whether they were the future Shrek's 7 devils, Dai Mubai's voice came. Chapter 0392. Zhao Wuji's pride. Yi Hongchun nodded slightly and said with some understanding, "Okay, then I will trouble you. You don't need to be so polite. As a disciple of Sword de Law, why do you do different things? Shouldn't it be me who has a gap with you?" After seeing Yi Hongchun's politeness, Dai Mubai couldn't help but patted Yi Hongchun's shoulder directly. Hearing Dai Mubai's words, Yi Hongchun's expression was startled, and then he smiled indifferently without speaking. He was polite because he had never regarded anyone as his closest person, even Yi Tianjue in the main world, or Jiandala in Dalawa continent, Qinshin. He has never really believed in anyone. When Yi Hongchun and Dai Mubai were looking for a residence, Zhao Waoqi also came to the residence of the Dean of Shrek Academy. "Oh, you mean you received a disciple from Tiando Forest?" The Dean of Shrek Academy, Fred, sat on a chair, holding a letter in both hands. "Yes, and his name is Yi Hongchun. He is said to be a disciple of Sorda, one of the elders of the 7 Treasure Glaze Master." Zhao Wuji nodded and faithfully brought Yi Hongchun's words to Fred. "Well, I see, since there's no problem with the details, and it is a monster, it is also a good thing to let him join Shrek Academy." After hearing Zhao Waoqi's words, Fred's expression was still plain, without a trace, as if all this was expected. "No, Fred, why are you not surprised at all?" After Zhao Waoqi saw Fred's change from usual, his face suddenly looked a little ugly. After all, he was surprised by himself. Doesn't it seem that Zhao Waoqi is not a bit worse than Fred? Why? Because the sect master of the 7 Treasure Glass sect has already sent me a flying letter. Why is it surprised that I have known it a long time ago? When Fred heard Zhao Waoqi's words, he suddenly smiled, and a letter in his hand was immediately handed to Zhao Waoqi. Zhao Waoqi caught the letter with one hand and quickly read it. As expected, it was clear what was written there. Yi Hongchun, the disciple of Sword Luo Qinshin who had left the 7 Treasure Glass sect, was going to practice, and he would probably go to their Shrek Academy. I also hope that their Shrek Academy can take care of it a lot, and the financial support for the 7 Treasure Glaze sect can still be agreed. Finally, he even mentioned that half a year later, he also intends to let his daughter come to their Shrek Academy to study. After reading it, Zhao Waoqi suddenly laughed, then threw the letter to Fred, pretending to be mysterious. "President Fred, do you know the soul power level of that knight Hongchen? Although I don't know, but it's easy to guess that close to the age of 13, and it is a small monster, then the spirit power level should be between level 24 and 28 of the Great Spirit Master. And since he could become a disciple of Sword de Law, his martial spirit was a sword, and his spirit ring could not be 10 years, that would be 100 years. When Fred heard Zhao Waoqi's words, he smiled triumphantly and told Zhao Waoqi his guess. No, you were wrong except for his age, martial spirit, and a spirit ring. They're the same as you said. Everything else is wrong." As soon as he saw Fred's triumphant look, Zhao Waoqi smiled triumphantly. "What? Wrong? What is that? The 30th level Soul Venerable Assault Type Battle Spirit Master. The Soul Ring is 1 yellow, 1 purple, and 1 black. After hearing Yuekui's words, Fred suddenly lost his composure and suddenly stood up from his seat, holding his hands on the table in front of him. What are you talking about? A 30th level Spirit Sovereign? There is still 10,000 years Spirit Ring. Chapter 0393. The system's brain is awakened. What are you talking about? A 13-year-old 30th level Spirit Sovereign? And there are 10,000 years Spirit Ring. After Yuekui saw Fred's reaction, he finally smiled contentedly. Yes, Fred, can you still feel calm? Although it is a weapon spirit, Bai Cai was defeated by his men. After Fred pondering for a while, he finally stabilized his mind. Such a genius. I have to take the time to check it out. But didn't you mean that you closed the academy after cultivating this class of little monsters? After hearing Fred's words, Yuekui raised his eyebrows slightly. Off? What level off? With the economic resources of the 7 Treasure Glazed Glass sect, we Shrek will only grow bigger and bigger. Just after Yuekui finished speaking, Fred rushed directly in front of him and kicked him mercilessly. Yuekui. On the other side, Hongchen had followed Bai Cai to the Shrek student dormitory area. Although they are all made of wood, they also show a low-key luxury. Hongchen, because Oscar took away the keys, his room was vacant. You live alone, are you not afraid? Bai Cai teased after throwing the door key in his hand to Hongchen. The student dormitories of Shrek Academy are for 2 people, and Bai Cai and Ma Hongjun live in the same room. It's okay, but a person fell silent. Hongchen shook his head, but felt quite at ease with a person. After all, he was used to going around alone. That's good. I would like you to have a meal another day, by the way. At this point, Bai Cai put one hand directly on Hongchen's shoulder and leaned to Hongchen's ear. By the way, I'm introducing a girl to introduce you. I don't have any ideas about this. It's more important to improve soul power now. Suddenly hearing Bai Cai's words, Hongchen was short-circuited in his thoughts. No wonder it took a long time for Bai Cai and Zhu Zuking to reconcile. And the relationship guy probably owed a lot of romantic debts. Of course, Hongchen had automatically filtered out the romantic debts she owed. Hey, life's major events. How can I just forget it? I must bring it to you another day. I'll go first. Bai Cai showed an expression that I understand, and then hurriedly left Hongchen's dormitory. Obviously, there should be some things that still need to be done. Hongchen closed the door and lay directly on the bed. Gradually, sleepiness came to his heart, and he fell asleep directly. When I woke up again, it was already the next morning, and I didn't wake up naturally, but was awakened by a loud voice. Ding, it's time to check in. Asked the host whether to check in. Hearing this electronic sound, Hongchen felt a chill in his heart. Good guy, in the past 5 years, all the rewards he got by punching in are some weird things, such as the underwear of a certain woman, the treasured barbecue of a peerless master, the stone made by the gods, and so on. It really made Hongchen a little scared of this system. Those who didn't understand thought he was a pervert. Check in. Hongchen said weakly. Ding punched in successfully. Ding, congratulations to the host. Reward the second stage of the first soul skill, the sword style. Hongchen, who had already wanted to re-enter his dreamland, suddenly sat upright. Did you hear that right? This system, which has been rusted for 5 years, has turned on its head. Call. A white light appeared in front of Hongchen's eyes, and in the next second, without waiting for Hongchen to react, it plunged directly into the center of his eyebrows. Chapter 0394. The first soul skill used sword style in the next second. Hongchen raised his right hand unconsciously, and a blue light appeared. The star sword suddenly appeared, and 3 shining halos suddenly appeared. The light of the yellow 100-year spirit ring at the bottom suddenly burst, and then the yellow light gradually dimmed. After dimming and lasting for 3 seconds, the light continued to light up, even brighter than the yellow one. The yellow light has turned into purple at this moment. From 800 years to 1,000 years, A message naturally appeared in Yi Hongchen's mind, as if this technique was born with Yi Hongchen. The first soul skill, the sword style. Yi Hongchen opened his eyes suddenly, and a purple light appeared in his eyes. In the next second, 8 blue long swords stood horizontally in front of Yi Hongchen. I kind of mind the long swords standing horizontally have become erect again, just like a hand, perfectly controlled. Go, Yi Hongchen said faintly while looking out the window. The 8 blue swords all rang out the window together. Boom! A big tree outside was directly cut into 8 pieces by 8 flying swords and fell to the ground. As soon as he walked to Fred next to Yi Hongchen's dormitory, when Xiao Yuekui saw this, he glanced at each other. People who don't understand will think that Yi Hongchen is demonstrating for the two of them. Damn it! Fred looked angry, rolled his sleeves, and walked into Yi Hongchen's dormitory angrily. Hey, Fred, don't be impulsive. Xiao Yuekui hurriedly followed, pulling Fred's sleeve with one hand. After Yi Hongchen put away his martial soul, he still hadn't sensed, and the door of his dormitory was suddenly pushed open violently. Then, a middle-aged man with glasses and hair like an owl walked directly in. Behind him followed Xiao Yuekui, who had encountered him in the great forest of Heaven Do, and Xiao Yuekui looked at him with an embarrassing face. Note: due to the epidemic, there are too many online homework and preparations for the college entrance examination. So now it is changed 3 times a day. Can enter Q skirt 102-622-2484 exchange. It's you just destroyed the big tree outside the window. Fred pushed his glasses with his hand and stared at Yi Hongchen with a serious look. Well, I did destroy the tree just now. Yi Hongchen just nodded faintly when he heard the words. Okay, listen. Since you have entered my Shrek Academy, then follow our Shrek rules. Don't think of Shrek as your 7-treasure glazed glass sect. What do you like to do? You know? Otherwise, I will kick you out of Shrek directly. After Fred folded his hands, the spectacle lenses on his face reflected a white light. I know. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen only responded lightly. Yi Hongchen's attitude immediately made Fred a little embarrassed, and he felt like he was directing and acting himself. Since then, give the money a big tree with 100 gold soul coins. Fred directly stretched out his hand, as if there was no negotiation if he didn't give the money. When Xiao Yuekui, who originally thought Yi Hongchen would be sad, saw this, his eyes were wide open. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say it. Even Yi Hongchen just disappeared indifferently, and at this moment he looked at Fred in a daze. Obviously, he didn't expect Fred to come out like this. Why? You don't have money. Fred once again emphasized after seeing Yi Hongchen's motionlessness. The last word also raised his tone. Yi Hongchen regained his senses and directly took out a bag that was bigger than his hands folded from a belt soul guidance device on his waist. This is 1,000 gold soul coins, so you don't need to look at the extra. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he passed it over. Chapter 0395. The fortune telling Fred, this is 1,000 gold soul coins, so you don't need to look at the extra. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he passed it over. Fred hurriedly picked up the bag that Hongchen threw over the night and opened it. The bag was full of dazzling golden light. All our gold soul coins. Fred's eyes were straight, and he didn't care if his eyes were about to fall down. They stared at Yi Hongchen with golden light. Come, baby. There's so many trees outside. How many more are you destroying? Xiao Yuekui's face went black when he saw Fred's mischief. Shame. The head of the dignified courtyard. Unexpectedly. No, Dean Fred, Vice Dean Xiao Yuekui, can you go out first? Yi Hongchen shook his head directly. He was not stupid. If he destroys one more tree, Fred will definitely ask for the golden soul coin. Although he still had a lot of gold soul coins, he couldn't be pitted for no reason. Yes, if you're giving out 100,000 gold soul coins, keep it and help you cultivate a generation of peerless monsters. When Fred heard Yi Hongchen's words, he hurriedly pulled Xiao Yuekui to the door while tempting Yi Hongchen. Get out! Yi Hongchen didn't have that good mentality this time, and he threw out a bag of gold soul coins and flew toward Fred fiercely. Fred took the bag in one hand, smiled very brightly, and said with a smile, Okay, well, go out now, go out now. After finishing talking, Fred gently pulled Zhao Waoqi out of the room, and by the way, brought the door of Yi Hongchen's dormitory. Developed and developed. Vaguely, Yi Hongchen could still hear Fred's mean voice. Night. Yi Hongchen, who was cultivating spirit power, was directly interrupted by the knock on the door. Come in. When the words fell, Dai Mubai opened the door directly, wearing snow-white clothing, and walked in. Hongchen, let's go. Let's pick up the dust for you tonight. Fatty and Oscar have gone, so you're the only thing left. As soon as Dai Mubai came in, he said to Yi Hongchen very eagerly. After speaking, he dragged Yi Hongchen out of Shrek Academy. Coming to a city close to Shrek Academy, of course this city is not like Shrek, it is very poor. And the place Dai Mubai invited was the famous hotel in this city, Lufeng Hotel. Boss Dai Hongchen here. As soon as he entered the door, Ma Hongjun, who was sitting by the window, directly saw Yi Hongchen. Dai Mubai immediately stood up and shouted. With this sound, the people who were eating immediately turned their eyes to Ma Hongjun Oscar and Yi Hongchen, Dai Mubai, who was standing at the door. This damn fat man. If you don't take him next time, you'll be ashamed of me. Dai Mubai covered his face with one hand, regretting in his tone of voice. Okay, this is the characteristic of Ma Hongjun. Yi Hongchen didn't have much, and after comforting Dai Mubai, he walked straight to Ma Hongjun. Wow, this man looks so good looking. I don't know where this person is, such a handsome little guy. I have never seen him before. When she saw Yi Hongchen walking by, the young woman who was eating suddenly cast her eyes on Yi Hongchen. It's no wonder that even though Yi Hongchen is almost 13 years old, the whole person seems to be either 15 or 16 years old. People in this world are precocious, and they are already adults at the age of 16. Huh, isn't it just a little white face? What's so curious? A young man in red and white clothes suddenly snorted coldly. Dai Mubai's eyes, who came over behind Yi Hongchen, suddenly became cold. Chapter 0396. Trouble comes to the door automatically after hearing the young man's words. Dai Mubai, who was walking behind Yi Hongchen, suddenly became cold with different pupils. Forget Mubai. Wouldn't it be tiring if you keep doing this every time? Yi Hongchen noticed Dai Mubai's emotions for the first time and said lightly. Although he did not have a good impression on the young man, he couldn't kill him directly. What do you look at? A few little kids are still learning adults come here for dinner and dinner together? Ha! We really don't have any from Songhui College. However, Yi Hongchen didn't want to make trouble, but the young man didn't have this consciousness and instead stopped at Yi Hongchen and Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai looked down on Yi Hongchen. Hongchen, sometimes you don't want to ask for something, you just ask for it by yourself. I have to say, it's too cheap. Dai Mubai came to the side of Yi Hongchen, spreading his hands, looking helpless. Indeed, Yi Hongchen shook his head, looking at the young man who was still raising his eyebrows in front of him. Yi Hongchen's eyes were cold. Songhui Academy? I think it could be changed to Fly's Academy. When the words fell, Yi Hongchen kicked out quickly and hit the young man's fierce mouth fiercely. Bang! The young man seemed to be hit by a car, and his body was flying backwards sharply, knocking over several dining tables heavily. All the food on the dining table was knocked over by him, and many of them belonged to the young man. Fortunately, no one was injured except the young man. Damn it, I want to maim you. After the young man got up from the ground in a hurry, he didn't think much about the consequences of making trouble here. With a punch directly towards Yi Hongchen, his body surged with spirit power, and he actually had level 34 spirit power. Soul Lord, no, they're gonna fight. I'm leaving first, lest I be affected. My dear, let's go quickly, it's too dangerous here. Ah, finally it's a fight. Wait for me for a long time. This kid dared to beat Teacher Huang. He's done. When the people in the restaurant saw this, some people were afraid of being affected and left in a hurry, without even paying for the meal. There are only some confident, bold, curious, and a few students from Songhui College. Unzen? Hongchen, do you want to go together? Dai Mubai was eager to try after seeing the young man. Teacher Huang from Songhui College. I can't fight again. Yi Hongchen shook his head, his eyes full of confidence. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's spirit power also suddenly rose. Level 30 Soul Lord. What? This kid turned out to be a soul venerable. Although he is 4 levels worse than Teacher Huang, he is his age. Upon seeing this, a student of Tsanhui Academy with relatively high spirit power suddenly shouted in horror. After hearing that person's call, the female student who originally dated Teacher Huang looked at Yi Hongchen and her eyes were full of peach blossoms. The person is handsomer than Teacher Huang and younger and more promising. Who doesn't love such a person? What's more, she is still the age of interest in the opposite sex. When Teacher Huang punched Yi Hongchen in the face, Yi Hongchen gave a chuckle. Just you still want to hit me? Call. As soon as the voice fell, Yi Hongchen's figure suddenly shook, and Teacher Huang fisted directly. Where is Yi Hongchen in front of him? There was only one person, it was still Dai Mu Bai. The first soul skill, the sword style. An indifferent voice came from behind Teacher Huang, and 3 spirit rings suddenly appeared under Teacher Huang's feet. Yellow, yellow, yellow. In the next second, the pupils of Teacher Huang's eyes all shrank. Chapter 0397. Fortunately, Ma Hongjun, 3 bright yellow spirit rings gradually rose from the feet of Teacher Huang from Tsanhui College. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Teacher Huang tilted his head and looked behind him. In the next second, the pupils of both eyes shrank, and the whole body trembled, because the line of sight in front of him suddenly appeared a vision that ruined most of his life. 3 incredibly dazzling rays of light appeared before his eyes, and that was the soul ring of Yi Hongchen. Purple, purple, black. Well, how is this possible? The first spirit ring is the 1,000-year spirit ring, and the third spirit ring is the black 10,000-year spirit ring. Teacher Huang's face was dull, and he muttered in disbelief. Obviously, Yi Hongchen's spirit ring brought him an extremely huge impact. Yi Hongchen didn't care about Teacher Huang's state at the moment, and when his mind moved, 8 blue long swords immediately surrounded him. In the next second, all 8 long swords rushed towards Teacher Huang, and each long sword carried an extremely powerful pressure. Hongchen, be merciful. When Dai Mubai saw Teacher Huang didn't believe it, he didn't try to avoid it. After the defense, he hurriedly reminded Yi Hongchen. After all, judging from the current situation, if Yi Hongchen's attack really falls on Teacher Huang, it is estimated that his body will break a few holes. At that time, Yi Hongchen would have killed someone, and he would still kill in the city. That would be troublesome. After the words of Dai Mubai fell, Teacher Huang recovered, and when he saw the 8 long swords in front of him, he flew as if he was sentenced to death. Cannot help but blurt out in fear, "No, don't kill me." It is a pity, how screamed Teacher Balunhuang. At this moment, the 8 long swords have already pierced his fierce front. Teacher Huang closed his eyes in fright, and suddenly a puddle of water was left behind in his crotch, which was directly soaked. After 3 seconds, Teacher Huang felt that there was still no pain in his body and slowly opened his eyes. The scene with 8 long swords floating in front of him suddenly came into view. In the next second, the 8 blue long swords screamed in unison again, exuding a faint blue light, and suddenly closed. Yi Hongchen suddenly appeared, holding the hilt of a blue long sword with one hand, and using the blade of the sword to shoot Teacher Huang away. Bang! Teacher Huang came into close contact with the ground again, and when he rolled his eyes, he fainted directly. The 34th level Soul Master of Tsanhui Academy is really weak to death, inferior to Ma Hongjuan's 24th level Great Soul Master. Yi Hongchen put away his martial soul, and the 3 dazzling spirit rings on his body were completely submerged under his feet, and said lightly, "Hongchen, you really belong to you." Dai Mubai looked at Teacher Huang, who had fainted, and went straight to Yi Hongchen and said in surprise. Hearing Dai Mubai's words, the people who were still in the hotel finally recovered, their eyes filled with surprise, watching Yi Hongchen silent for a long time. "Soul Lord, it's just the Soul Venerable. None of the 3 spirit rings is less than 1,000 years, and the 3rd spirit ring is even 10,000 years. How did he do that?" Ahem, Hongchen, you don't have to bury me. And in fact, you can call me fat too. I don't care. Ma Hongjun and Oscar, who had been sitting quietly before, looked at teacher Huang, who was scared to urinate and fainted, and looked at each other. Ma Hongjun swallowed. His face was full of smirk, and said to Yi Hongchun somewhat flatteringly, "It's so cruel." It turns out that what Hongchun said last night is true. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun felt extremely grateful in his heart, full of gratefulness for the battle with Yi Hongchen yesterday. Fortunately, he was not like the teacher from Tsanghui College. Chapter 0398. I can save hearing Ma Hongjun's words. Yi Hongchun and Dai Mubai couldn't help but chuckle and walk towards Ma Hongjun, the Oscar table together. As for the teacher Huang who had fainted, Yi Hongchun didn't even look at him. After all, a person like him has never met him in this life. Soon, calm was restored in the restaurant, and the people from Tsanghui College dragged teacher Huang, who smelled of urine all over, to leave. Of course, there was one other person who did not leave. That is the female student from Tsanghui College who was dating teacher Huang. It was precisely because she praised Yi Hongchun that this caused the conflict between teacher Huang and Yi Hongchun. "Brother, can I sit next to you?" The female student came to Yi Hongchun and asked about the chair beside Yi Hongchun. Yi Hongchun, Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar, who had been chatting together, were shocked when they heard what the female student said. Then Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar looked at Yi Hongchun ambiguously. On the contrary, Yi Hongchun was extremely calm, glanced at the female student faintly, and chuckled softly. "I'm sorry. You are too ugly. Not my type." "You, humph. You are ugly." The female student trembles with anger when she sees that the face she has always been proud of has been called ugly by Yi Hongchun. After a cold snort, he turned his head and left. Looking at the female student's back, Ma Hongjun's face suddenly showed a pity. "Brother Chun, I didn't say it. How can you not send it to the door?" Ma Hongjun pouted at Yi Hongchun, as if Yi Hongchun had just missed something. "Yeah, I should have said to her just now. Okay, but this chair is a bit small, so let's put it on my lap." Oscar, who was sitting next to Ma Hongjun, immediately agreed, and finally imitated a sentence with a sissy tone. "Okay, you guys, isn't it just a female student? Just this look? I don't want to send it to the door, let alone a cold person like Hongchun." Dai Mubai stopped Oscar directly and said angrily, "Yes, this kind of woman is very dirty." Yi Hongchun nodded and said meaningfully, Okay, don't talk about her anymore. The girl I asked to hear will not be good later. Come eat." "Damn, Boss Dai, do you still have an appointment with girls?" "How many girls? Can you see me?" And me, Boss Dai. You are our boss, brother. It's up to you to take care of my lifelong affairs." As soon as Dai Mubai said it, Yi Hongchun did not respond, but Ma Hongjun and Oscar both asked Dai Mubai excitedly, "No, I made an appointment with a pair of twin sisters, and I want to let Hongchun try to see if he could look right." "You? It's okay if you look right, but with me and Hongchun, you don't have a big chance." Dai Mubai didn't care about picking up the vegetables, smiled at Yi Hongchun, and then directly said the words against Oscar and Ma Hongjun. No, I'll go back to college and shave off my beard now. Boss Dai, I hate you. I don't want to ask a girl in advance." Oscar touched his beard, suddenly became anxious, said angrily to Dai Mubai, and stood up, wanting to go back to the college to shave his beard. Dai Mubai's eyes were quick and his hands were quick, and he directly held Oscar, who wanted to leave, with one hand. "Why, Boss Dai? Fatty is hopeless. I still have a little hope." Oscar looked back, looking extremely eager. "Damn, Oscar, what are you talking about?" Ma Hongjun heard Oscar's words, as if suffering a heavy blow. Chapter 0399. The disgusted Mao. Oh damn. "Oscar, what are you talking about?" Ma Hongjun seemed to be petrified after hearing Oscar's words. Oscar's eyes flashed golden light, cast a glance at Ma Hongjun, and touched the hair held up by the goggles. "Am I wrong? Unless you cut your body off, you can't grab me. Do you want to eat my Phoenix Firewire?" Ma Hongjun narrowed his eyes, revealed a very kind smile, and said solemnly towards Oscar, Okay, you don't need to say any more. They are here." Dai Mubai directly interrupted the conversation between the two and said with a look at the door of the store. Hearing Dai Mubai's words, Yi Hongchun, Ma Hongjun, and the Oscar trio immediately followed his eyes. At the moment, two young girls are standing in front of the store. One is wearing a blue student uniform, and the other is wearing a blue long skirt. The two looked almost exactly the same. At least Hongchen couldn't recognize it at a glance, as if standing alone in front of a mirror. "Hey, this way." Dai Mubai stood up and greeted the two girls who were still at the door. As soon as Dai Mubai said something, the two girls obviously saw Dai Mubai as well, and they were walking right now. The face value is a grade, the figure is C grade, but it can continue to grow. This boss Dai begged to introduce me to me. When Oscar saw the two young girls walking by, his eyes straightened suddenly. At the end of the talk, he directly held Dai Mubai's hand with both hands. Dai Mubai broke away from Oscar's hand in disgust and raised an eyebrow at Hongchen, who was still sitting in his seat. Ma Hongjun pouted his lips and ate the food on the table in despair. "Handsome Mubai, today I call my sister together. Who is the handsome boy you want to introduce to my sister?" Soon, the two young girls came to Dai Mubai's table, a little open, and asked Dai Mubai with their mouths covered. After speaking, without waiting for Dai Mubai's answer, his eyes quickly swept across Dai Mubai's table, as if looking for prey. An uncle, a fat man. Seeing this, the girl frowned. Obviously, she was very dissatisfied with Oscar and Ma Hongjun, because Dai Mubai stood up, and Hongchen tilted his head down, just because Hongchen could not be seen from the position of the girl. "Hello, beauty, you can sit here." Oscar moved inside. Ma Hongjun was pushed in by him, and he patted his side with one hand. And Oscar's goal was the girl in the student uniform. She is also a twin sister, and her older sister is wearing a blue long dress and looks more mature than her younger sister. Seeing Oscar's movements, Bai Yunfei couldn't help lowering his head and hesitated. "No, Mubai, I remember this restaurant can add seats, right?" Before Bai Yunfei could agree or refuse, the elder sister Bai Yunling beside her immediately spoke, and after speaking, she asked Dai Mubai again. Dai Mubai nodded and said, "Yes, let's talk to the boss." After speaking, Dai Mubai walked towards the counter, and when he walked, Hongchen was immediately revealed behind him. Bai Yunling, who was still dissatisfied with Oscar and Ma Hongjun, who wanted to talk to Dai Mubai, was immediately stunned. In the next second, his eyes were directly bent, revealing a sweet smile. Although Hongchen at the moment only showed his profile, he was still extremely heroic. "This handsome guy, I must have said that the person I introduced to my sister is you, right?" Chapter 0400. Interaction from girls. "This handsome guy, I must have said that the person I introduced to my sister is you, right?" Bai Yunling's smile was incredibly sweet, and his voice became a little lighter. Bai Yunfei looked at Hongchen with a pair of eyes slightly avoiding, but she peeked at Hongchen from time to time. He has long white hair, a delicate face, lifeless eyes that can arouse others' pity, and faint red lips. Bai Yunfei did not expect that such a perfect facial features would be gathered on one face. "I don't understand this." Hongchen shook his head and said lightly, with a cold tone. With these simple 4 words, Hongchen's impression in Bai Yunling's heart suddenly went to a high level. High cold. This also means that this person does not have any new or old love, and may not even have been in love. Thinking of this, Bai Yunling immediately pushed Bai Yunfei and directly let Bai Yunfei sit next to Hongchen, which was the place where Dai Mubai was originally. "Sister, sit down for a while. Sister will go see Mubai and help him get a chair, by the way," Bai Yunling said to Bai Yunfei. After finishing speaking, he even blinked at her. "Ma Hongjun." Oscar looked at Bai Yunling with an extremely good attitude, and his entire face suddenly pulled down. Sure enough, even if Hongchen didn't want to fight with them, this person had come to him directly. Soon, Bai Yunling also walked directly towards the counter, and there were only Hongchen, Ma Hongjun, Oscar, and Bai Yunfei on the entire dinner table. "Hey," I said, "I just asked you to sit here and you don't do it." Now sitting next to Hongchen is so direct. "I admit, I'm sour." Oscar looked at Bai Yunfei sitting next to Hongchen and said with some complaints, "Ha ha, Xiaoao, you deserve it. You can't even know your own weight. Isn't it just as quiet as me?" Ma Hongjun on the side heard Oscar's words, and instead of comforting him, he even gloated. Obviously, I was stimulated by what Oscar said just now, and now I lose it. Quiet and quiet? Then look at other people's red dust. He is also quiet and quiet. Oscar heard this, without any irritation, but even laughed. Ma Hongjuan's fat body shook suddenly, and the next second his eyes flashed red, and he stared at Oscar ferociously. Xiao, Ao, how do you want to die, Puff? Originally sitting next to Yi Hongchan, Bai Yunfei, who was a little uneasy, couldn't help but laugh after seeing the interaction between the two. Her smile immediately made Ma Hongjun and Oscar embarrassed, and both looked at Bai Yunfei with a little awkward smile. Hello, my name is Bai Yunfei. Bai Yunfei waved slightly towards Ma Hongjun and Oscar in front of him. Hello, my name is Oscar. Oscar hurriedly replied, smiling. Ma Hongjun. After Ma Hongjun said a word, he immersed himself in eating his own things. Fatty, after you finish eating things, see if Boss Dai won't take care of you. When Oscar saw Bai Yunfei, just nodded at him. After looking at Yi Hongchun, he couldn't help turning his head in embarrassment. As if finding a way to relieve the embarrassment, he reprimanded Ma Hongjun. Yi Hongchun looked at these two national treasures and couldn't help but shook his head helplessly. What about you? What is your name? Suddenly, a light and pleasant voice came from my ear. This is the voice that taught Bai Yunfei. Me? Yi Hongchun. The leaves of the leaves. Looking at Yi Hongchun up close, Bai Yunfei only felt his heartbeat accelerated. Chapter 0401. Sudden Incident. Yi? The leaves of the leaves. Bai Yunfei was slightly confused when he heard Yi Hongchun's words. No, the night of the dark night. Yi Hongchun shook his head and said lightly. A pair of gray, slightly dim eyes directly met Bai Yunfei's eyes. Looking at Yi Hongchun up close, Bai Yunfei's breathing suddenly became a little short, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated, as if she could hear her. Why are you looking at me like this? Bai Yunfei turned her head, slightly flushed on her face, and whispered. Upon seeing Oscar, Ma Hongjun couldn't help clasping his hands tightly. His breathing became lighter, and he looked expectantly at Yi Hongchun. They're sure that if Yi Hongchun said something, because you are beautiful, and so on, then Bai Yunfei will definitely fall. Friendship with Yi Hongchun skyrocketed. Oh, I'm sorry. However, things didn't do what Oscar and Ma Hongjun thought. Yi Hongchun turned his head directly and said lightly. Involuntarily, the entire dining table fell into silence following Yi Hongchun's words. When Ma Hongjun saw this, Oscar couldn't help but secretly hated him, gritting his teeth in anxious manner. Kulme, eat. If it's not enough, I'll order a few more dishes. Fortunately, this situation did not last long. Dai Mubai and Bai Yunling returned, with two people behind them, one holding a big chair. Then there was a meal plot. Because Yi Hongchun didn't like to talk, Ma Hongjun and Oscar were hit again. During the entire dinner, only Dai Mubai and Bai Yunfei had a conversation, and it felt like they were the only two of them. Mubai, come here today. It's too late to go back. Our two sisters are a little scared. After eating the food, Bai Yunling and the two daughters of Bai Yunfei stood up, and Bai Yunling said to Dai Mubai, Don't be afraid. I will send you back with Hongchun later. Dai Mubai said indifferently shook his head. Mubai, I still want to cultivate, so I can. Yi Hongchun frowned upon hearing Dai Mubai's words. You can send it. What? Do you want to send Sister Yunfei by yourself? Yes. As soon as Yi Hongchun spoke, Dai Mubai knew there was nothing good, and interrupted directly. Yi Hongchun. In this way, Yi Hongchun first sent Bai Yunfei back under Dai Mubai's prestige, but he and Bai Yunling went back at night. As for Oscar and Ma Hongjun, they did not disturb Yi Hongchun and Dai Mubai's two-person world, and they returned to Shrek Academy early. In the evening, the sun shining on Yi Hongchun and Bai Yunfei, the two walked side by side in the street. No one spoke. Actually, if you want to practice, you can go back now. You don't have to give it to me. Bai Yunfei speeded up suddenly, walked in front of Yi Hongchun, and said seriously. Yi Hongchun stood still suddenly when he heard the words. Looking at Bai Yunfei in front of him, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. It's okay. I'll send you on the road. When the words fell, The blue light flashed in Yi Hongchen's right hand, and a blue long sword suddenly appeared in his hand. 3 dazzling spirit rings, purple, and black, began to appear under their feet. The first soul skill, the sword style. The first spirit ring on Yi Hongchen's body lit up, and in the next second, 8 long swords suddenly appeared in front of him, stabling Bai Yunfei with him. Bai Yunfei didn't react at all, and was directly stabbed by Yi Hongchen's 9 long swords. Bang! In the next second, fragments appeared in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes, and the original street gradually disappeared and turned into a dark and damp street corner. Use fantasy to deal with me? You still can't practice at home. Chapter 0402. Level 72 Soul Saint. Want to use fantasy to deal with me? You're not qualified yet. Yi Hongchen's gray eyes suddenly turned to the left and said coldly. There was a man standing impressively, dressed in red and white clothes, with a slightly old white and black hair, and wrinkles could be seen on his face. A pair of narrow eyes makes it easy to see. This is very vengeful. How is this possible? You, a little baby, can actually break my dream? When he saw Yi Hongchen suddenly look at him with a fierce expression, he was secretly horrified. Why is this impossible? Where is the girl with me? Where is she? Yi Hongchen turned around calmly. Facing Shernyan, a blue gloomy light emerged between his right hand. In the next second, a blue long sword, with 5 small stars sunken in the blade, suddenly appeared, and he was tightly gripped in the palm of his hand. 3 dazzling spirit rings also appeared on Yi Hongchen's body. Purple, black, staring at the spirit ring on Yi Hongchen's body all the time. His breathing couldn't help but become a little quick. It turned out to be true. The first and second spirit ring is a 1,000-year-old spirit ring, and the third spirit ring is even a 10,000-year spirit ring. You haven't answered me yet. Where is that girl? Yi Hongchen's eyes were cold, and his heart became vigilant. Although he is extremely confident in his soul and spiritual power, who knows if he will inexplicably fall into the illusion of the other party? Of course, Yi Hongchen is called an illusion, but in fact, it was just a dream. Hearing this, he slightly cast his eyes towards the back of a trash can and smiled. Isn't this lying down there? Yi Hongchen looked at it with the ears, and sure enough, on the ground behind the trash can, there was a young girl in a student uniform lying on the ground. It was Bai Yunfei who he wanted to escort home. Do you want to die faster? Yi Hongchen looked at Shernyan, his tone full of murderous intent. When I heard Yi Hongchen's words, he was taken aback for a moment, and then he burst into laughter. Ha, what did you say? You want me to die? Can you do it? You don't know my identity, soul power level, right? How can you be sure? Isn't your identity easy to guess? Hearing this, Yi Hongchen's killing intent disappeared immediately, and even the spirit ring on his body disappeared. If you want to kill, then you need a reason, and this reason is nothing more than that I have beaten a person into incontinence this afternoon. And that person is a teacher from Tsanghue College. Obviously, you're also Tsanghue College, and you still have a good relationship with that person. Yi Hongchen took a step forward slowly, moving a small step secretly every time he said a word. Back then, he didn't care about Yi Hongchen's approach. After all, his spirit power level was placed there. Oh, it's really rare for you to be at your age, but with this kind of temperament. At that time, he was a little surprised at Yi Hongchen's IQ, touching his beard and continuing, but soul power, can I not show it? You did not show it, but I also know your spirit power level, and even know your name. Yi Hongchen smiled faintly, as if everything was under his control. Let's talk about it. A pair of narrow eyes turned slightly and said with interest. At this moment, he was not in a hurry to kill Yi Hongchen. Anyway, Yi Hongchen was just a lamb to be slaughtered in his eyes. Listen to the words of the lamb. What if you let him live a few more minutes? You, the 72nd level soul sage of soul power, Kan Ming of martial soul. Your name? Chapter 0403. Perfect time. You, the 72nd level soul sage, Kan Ming of martial soul, a special martial soul of the illusion, the name time. While Yi Hongchen was speaking, he took another 3 steps, and Yi Hongchen, who was a little shorter than before, looked directly at Shi Yin's eyes. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, he couldn't help taking a step back every year, and his eyes shrank suddenly. Because what Yi Hongchen said turned out to be correct. How does this make him not surprised? But Yi Hongchen's actions were all caught in the eyes of Yi Hongchen, and he secretly held his hands behind his back. A pair of gray-white eyes suddenly appeared, a burst of white light, but it disappeared in a flash. On the ground behind Yi Hongchen, the originally moist, black ground turned into grayish-white at this moment. As colorless. Of course, he hadn't noticed all of this for many years. At this moment, all his attention was on Yi Hongchen's body. How did you know? Who are you? He glanced at the street behind him and felt a little relieved when he saw no one came, and asked towards Yi Hongchen in a deep voice. This is what you were waiting for. Hearing what the Times said, Yi Hongchen was overjoyed in his heart. What he wanted was this effect. Although the illusion of the years didn't seem to have much effect on him, the difference in spirit power level can be placed in front of him, and Yi Hongchen did not dare to take it lightly. These words just said are just to get closer to the time. And now, he has done it. He has come to a distance of less than 5 meters. Waiting is an opportunity to kill Shi Yin, leaving him with no ability to resist. Who am I? My name is Yi Hongchen, and the force behind it is one of the 3 major sects, the 7 Treasure Glazed Glass sect. Yi Hongchen also put his other hand behind him, standing proudly, and said, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, he slowly lowered his head and started to think, as if thinking about how to solve falling Yi Hongchen. Yes, 7 Treasure Glazed Glass sect. Don't you guess my teacher can't guess it? Oh, who is your teacher? Shi Yin raised his head, feeling a little uneasy in his heart. Mainland claims to be the first attacker, Jian Doluo, Qinxin. Yi Hongchen said lightly, raising a lot of energy and watching the time closely. Sure enough, after hearing Yi Hongchen's life of his teacher, Shi Yin's body trembled again, and his eyes shrank again. Sword Doluo. Damn, how could he be a disciple of Sword Doluo? What if Sword Doluo is here? At this moment, Shi Yin's thoughts were only these words, and even wanted to tell Yi Hongchen that this was a misunderstanding. Amazing! By the time Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he was already staring at Shi Yin. When Shi Yin was uncertain and didn't pay attention to him, he started to move. Colorless supernatural power, middle. Yi Hongchen's right hand behind him suddenly shook forward. In the next second, a burst of extremely powerful pressure burst out of Yi Hongchen's body. The location where the year was all turned into a colorless, off-white scene. Even his body felt heavy, and his legs were bent down under the pressure. The first soul skill, the sword style, the second soul skill, the dragon roar ice soul. Before he could react, 8 blue long swords suddenly appeared in front of him. Every long sword is buzzing, like the sound of an extremely fierce dragon with 8 heads. Do you think this can kill me like this? Dreaming, he roared while looking at the 8 long swords infinitely magnified. Chapter 0404. Luck kills the soul saint. Do you think this can kill me like this? Dreaming, he roared while looking at the 8 long swords infinitely magnified. In the next second, a huge phantom slowly appeared behind Shi Yin. With the appearance of the phantom, the position of the year and the color on the body unexpectedly flashed, restore from time to time, and turned into grayish-white again from time to time. It's late, Yi Hongchen said coldly, and in the next second, a long ice-white dragon appeared in Yi Hongchen, the center of the 2 of them. Wow! As soon as the icy white dragon appeared, the dead corners of the entire wet street were all frozen into ice at this moment. In the closest years to Yi Hongchen at this moment, the entire body was frozen stiff by this icy force. Yi Hongchen's right eye, the gray-white pupil suddenly turned into a blood-red pupil color. A ray of blood appeared above Yi Hongchen's head. After only a glance, there was a blank in his mind. At this time, the 8 blue long swords hit by Yi Hongchen pierced in his body when Shi Yin's mind was blank. Shi Yin's body was like a block of ice, unexpectedly bursting into a burst of ice-white debris. Colorless divine power. Pressure. Yi Hongchen thought. The colorless divine power that was about to be defeated by the remnant dream martial soul behind him suddenly strengthened. Bang! In the next second, when he was crushed by the colorless divine power, the whole person was really broken like pieces of ice, exploding all at once. No blood even came out, just a pile of crushed ice. Boom! An impact force appeared from the body that burst into pieces over the years, and Yi Hongchen was literally impacted. It hit the wall behind him all at once, but the quality of that wall was good, and it was not damaged by Yi Hongchen's collision. Puff! A mouthful of bright red blood spurted from Yi Hongchen's mouth, and Yi Hongchen's body slid down from the wall. The blood in his body surged crazily, and Yi Hongchen just lowered his head subconsciously. The throat was directly sweet, and a mouthful of bright red blood spurted out of his mouth again. At this moment, Yi Hongchen only felt that even if he moved his body, he was extremely weak. However, Yi Hongchen didn't feel the slightest frustration. On the contrary, he smiled as he watched the time that had become broken ice. He actually relied on the spirit power of the 30th level soul sovereign to kill a 72nd level soul sage. Although the soul saint didn't even display 3/10 of his strength, he was actually killed. Yi Hongchen relied on his 3 martial arts, the Star Sword, the Ice Sky Sacred Dragon, the Blood Eye, and the last group of colorless divine power in his body. Completed such a feat. In exchange, nothing more than a lack of strength and a few bites of blood. In Yi Hongchen's eyes, it is extremely worthwhile. Huh, that's what. Yi Hongchen lay on the ground and panted for 5 minutes before he had some strength. As soon as he raised his head, he directly saw a stone with colorful rays of light. Yi Hongchen climbed up from the ground with difficulty, walked staggeringly, and stood in front of the stone that was about to emit colorful light. His Royal Highness, the impact force just now was in the direction over there. Yi Hongchen hadn't even looked at it carefully, and a voice suddenly came from a distance. Yi Hongchen caught it directly and put the stone with colorful rays of light into the soul guide. After doing all this, Yi Hongchen fell directly on the ground because of excessive force. 8 human figures appeared on the ground in front. Chapter 0405. Heaven Do Prince Shui Qingyi. After doing all this, Yi Hongchen fell directly to the ground due to excessive force. In the next second, 8 shadows appeared in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes. His Royal Highness, look, there are 2 people here. Judging from the scene, it is estimated that there was a fight here just now. Among the 8 people, 7 of them were wearing white and gold mixed armor, with a white pointed hair on their heads. This is the armor of the elite soldiers of the Heaven Do Empire. There was another person standing in front of the 7, with short golden hair, wearing platinum aristocratic clothes, and a fair face that looked extremely clean. A pair of dancing eyes, from Yi Hongchen's perspective, seemed to have a kind of heroic aura. Well, indeed, there are these 2 people. Take them first, lest there be gangsters to kill them. The noble-dressed young man slightly nodded, and he looked only about 16 years old, with a noble aura. Yes, Your Highness, 7 Tiando elite soldiers said in unison. But Yi Hongchen couldn't hold it anymore when he heard this. His eyes went dark, and the whole person fell into a coma directly. When Yi Hongchen opened his eyes again, and it was night, the bright moonlight shone on his face, and he was lying in a room on the ground near the window. Although the room is still not as good as in the Cabello glazed glass sect, it is much better than Shrek's student dormitory. Of course, this city obviously doesn't have the conditions of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. You're awake. Yi Hongchen just stood up, and a slightly sissy voice entered the 2nd middle school. In the next second, a blonde-haired, extremely expensive young man walked in front of him. And this boy, needless to say, is naturally the noble boy today. Where is that girl? Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, responding to the boy's greetings, and then wondered. If he remembered correctly, then Bai Yun Fei should have been brought back by him too, right? Don't worry, if that girl wakes up, I've sent someone to send her back safely. The boy smiled, and after returning to Yi Hongchen, he circled Yi Hongchen as if he was investigating something. Yi Hongchen didn't bother to talk about him and probed his own state on his own. Except for some weakness and low blood in the body, there's no major problem. What's your name? It looks like a noble person. Yi Hongchen looked at the blonde boy, did not hesitate, and said lightly, Yi Hongchen, the knight of the dark night, the red dust of the world. Yi Hongchen, after knowing Yi Hongchen's name, the blonde boy condensed his eyes and smiled calmly. It's a good name. Yi Hongchen was also observing the blonde boy at the moment. His every move was full of nobleness, as if he was a natural ruler. What's your name? Yi Hongchen frowned and looked at the blonde boy, slightly puzzled. Can such a small city be able to cultivate such an aristocratic boy? This is simply impossible. My name is Yuekui. You can call me Big Brother Shue. The blonde boy sat on the wine table beside him, poured a glass of wine leisurely, and drank it all in one go. Zucking, when Yi Hongchen heard the blonde boy's words, his heart was slightly shaken, and he suddenly raised his eyes to look at the boy who was drinking. As the only disciple of Sword de Loire, the elder of the seven treasure glazed tiles, Yi Hongchen naturally heard this name. The prince of the Heaven Do Empire, Yuekui. Since childhood, the martial arts talent is extremely powerful. Of course, what made him famous is not only talent, but also IQ and means. Chapter 0406. Unexpected things, of course. What made him famous is not only talent, but also IQ and means. Back then, when Yuekui was only 14 years old, he had already suppressed other princes, and even some princes died inexplicably. At this moment, with the exception of the three princes Xue Bang and Yuekui of the Kaitian-Do Empire, all the other princes have died. And the third prince, Xue Bang, can survive to the present, but also because he is idle all day long, ignorant of learning and skill. It can be seen that Yuekui, who was calmly tasting wine in front of Yi Hongchen, had his brother's blood on the back. What's the matter? Keep looking at me. Why not sit down and drink with me? At this moment, Yuekui turned his head suddenly, a pair of extremely evil eyes, staring at Yi Hongchen closely. A shocking light flashed in his eyes and then passed away. It seemed that the things Yi Hongchen had just thought in his heart had already been seen through by him. Yi Hongchen was very dissatisfied with the look in Yuekui's eyes, as if she had no secrets in her whole body to show in front of Yuekui. Fortunately, Yuekui only took a look, then turned his head when he finished speaking and didn't look at it again. Otherwise, Yi Hongchen really couldn't guarantee whether a few spirit abilities would pass at once. No, if there's nothing wrong, I will go back first. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, before Yuekui could speak, he turned around and walked towards the door. He doesn't like dealing with such people. Mysterious man. Fortunately, Yi Hongchen did not watch the continent to the later stage. Otherwise, he knew the true identity of Yuekui at this moment. Then, stop! Yi Hongchen had just arrived at the door, and Yuekui's voice suddenly sounded, as if he was a little angry. Yi Hongchen stopped, turned his back to Zucking, and said lightly, His Royal Highness, please don't embarrass a small person. Oh, little man. Yuekui raised 2 wine glasses and walked slowly towards Yi Hongchen. Since you're a small person, then, do you dare to drink the glass of wine this prince gave you? Walking to Yi Hongchen and blocking Yi Hongchen's way, Yuekui raised the wine glass on the right-hand side and placed it in front of Yi Hongchen. A pair of eyes stared at Yi Hongchen tightly, as if he was putting pressure on Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen looked at the wine glass in front of him, closed his eyes slightly, squeezed his fist slowly, and opened his eyes suddenly in the next second. If this is the case, then I have to be offended. When the words were over, Yi Hongchen's clenched fist swung directly to Yuekui's face. Yuekui didn't expect that Yi Hongchen actually dared to do something when he was weak, and he was immediately punched in the side face by Yi Hongchen. The body also flew upside down, hit the door panel fiercely, and the door panel instantly shattered. After Yi Hongchen hit Zucking with a punch, he swiftly passed the window next to where he had been lying down. 3 shining auras appeared instantly under the feet, purple, and black. Among them, the black halo color suddenly shines. The third spirit ability, the White Phantom. Bang! A pair of wings composed of white rays of light appeared behind Yi Hongchen in an instant. Even the scene behind him was full of white air, and it looked extremely radiant. In the next second, a pair of white phantom wings waved instantly, and Yi Hongchen's body quickly rose into the sky. In an instant, he left the area where Zuking was located, and this area was the center of the city. His Royal Highness, are you okay? His Royal Highness, what happened? After hearing something unusual on Zuking's side, 7 soldiers rushed over. Chapter 0407. Brotherhood. After hearing something unusual on Zuking's side, 7 soldiers rushed over. Shuekingi ignored them, quickly stood up from the ground, and rushed into the house. But in the room, where is Yi Hongchen's figure? Empty and empty. Yi Hongchen had already escaped. Yi Hongchen? I didn't expect that the one I met today was really that Yi Hongchen. She deserves to be a disciple of Jian Doluo Brave. Shuekingi touched the swollen cheek that was beaten by Yi Hongchen, and even laughed, muttering. After such a small episode, Yi Hongchen flew back to Shrek again. And in front of Shrek's door, 3 people were standing, Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar. Why hasn't Hongchen come back? Could it be that something has happened? Dai Mubai's brows squeezed together, a little worried. No, isn't it? Brother Chen's strength is so strong. The Soul Sovereign is not afraid. Here, who else can? Wait, wouldn't it be the people from Sanghui Academy? Ma Hongjun waved his hand, with an expression of relief from Boss Dai. But before he finished speaking, he shouted again. Fatty, your brain is finally flexible, so I think it is rare. Oscar patted Ma Hongjun on the shoulder and praised him. Fatty, I'm worried about this. Dai Mubai shook his head and sighed. Boss Dai, I'll go to the dean now, and let him find Brother Chun to come back. Ma Hongjun's expression hardened, and he ran towards the courtyard. Upon seeing Yi Hongchen, who was above the dark night sky, his heart warmed slightly, and he suddenly felt that Shrek Academy had value. Call! In the next second, Yi Hongchen suddenly descended from the air. In less than 3 seconds, he fell directly in front of Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar. I think it shouldn't be necessary to notify the dean. Yi Hongchen smiled faintly on his face and said to Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar, who were astonished. Hongchen, Brother Chun, Hongchen. After Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar heard Yi Hongchen's words, they immediately returned to their senses and then ran to Yi Hongchen together. They did not expect that the person who was worried the moment before suddenly appeared in front of them the next second. In addition, there's a pair of white and flawless phantom wings behind him, which look incredibly immortal. Brother Chun, your wings are so beautiful. You can even fly into the sky. Wow, when will my phoenix go to the sky? Ma Hongjun leaned behind Yi Hongchen, poked the white phantom wing with his hand, and said enviously, Come on, you grass chicken martial arts soul. I can fly long ago when I can take you to the sky. Oscar raised his middle finger and joked. Ha! Yi Hongchen, Dai Mubai looked at each other when he heard the words, and suddenly laughed very tacitly. You guys, Brother Chun, because I was just worried about you coming, and now I'm making fun of me. Ma Hongjun saw this, and suddenly turned his head in anger, a little unhappy. It's all right, Ma Hongjun. Whoever bullies you in the future, Brother Chun will definitely help you without asking the reason. When Yi Hongchen heard Ma Hongjun's words, he was taken aback, and then he took the initiative to pat Ma Hongjun's shoulder and said slowly, This is what my Brother Chun said. Ma Hongjun heard Yi Hongchen's words, his eyes flashed golden light, and his joy suddenly rose. Yi Hongchen, Dai Mubai, and Oscar laughed together again. After this day, Yi Hongchen was completely integrated into Shrek Academy. The 4 of them walked into Shrek Academy side by side, each with a smile, chatting with each other, and there was a burst of laughter from time to time. Chapter 0408. Yi Hongchen's thoughts 1 year later. And the 14-year-old Yi Hongchen looks extremely handsome, like a son of a banished fairy, descending into the world. And his spirit power level has reached the 39th level of the soul superbly. In only a few soul power, he can break through the 40th level, seeking the 4th spirit ring. In this year, Dai Mubai's spirit power level and reached the 36th level Soul Sovereign. Ma Hongjuan's also reached the 28th level Great Spirit Master. And the Oscars was even the 29th level Great Spirit Master. At this moment, Yi Hongchen, who was meditating and cultivating in the dormitory, wanted to break through to the 40th level Soul Sect, suddenly heard the sound of knocking on the door. "Come in," Yi Hongchen said faintly, and then slowly opened his eyes in the next second. A grayish-white light flashed suddenly, and in the next second, it disappeared again. "Hongchen, it's time for Shrek to recruit people again today. Do you want to go together?" Yesterday, I met two interesting people. Dai Mubai, who was covered in white clothes, pushed open Yi Hongchen's door with a smile on his face. Over the past year, Dai Mubai has fought against Yi Hongchen quite a few times. Unfortunately, every time Dai Mubai was defeated by Yi Hongchen. Moreover, as Yi Hongchen's spirit power increased faster, the gap between Dai Mubai and Yi Hongchen became larger and larger. According to Yi Hongchen's estimation, if he continues to fight, he could defeat Dai Mubai within 10 moves. Of course, Yi Hongchen didn't do this, otherwise, wouldn't Dai Mubai be very faceless? You know, Yi Hongchen is 14 years old now, but Dai Mubai is just about 16 years old. "Oh, Mubai, go ahead. Let me do the fourth test, how about it?" Yi Hongchen got down from the shop, walked to Dai Mubai, and smiled faintly. With long silver-white hair almost reaching the waist, a white face and delicate features made Dai Mubai in front of Yi Hongchen not want to take another look. Because he looked at Yi Hongchen more and felt that his appearance was a bit rough. "I didn't say it. Hongchen, the dean originally meant to let me be the examiner of the 4th level. Why do you have to fight with me?" Dai Mubai tilted his head, hugged his hands in front of the fierce, and said slightly dissatisfied. "But I also want to be the tester of the 4th level. After all, my hands are itchy. Or are you fighting with me?" Yi Hongchen's eyes suddenly widened, and a pair of dark, gray-white eyes suddenly flashed, as if looking forward to it. As soon as he heard Yi Hongchen's words, Dai Mubai shuddered at the result of the battle with Yi Hongchen half a month ago. "Forget it. Let you have an addiction, okay?" Thinking of this, Dai Mubai waved his hand hurriedly, and then walked out of Yi Hongchen's dormitory. At this moment, Dai Mubai regretted coming to tell Yi Hongchen about this, letting Yi Hongchen grab the chance to itch this time. Of course, he is not dissatisfied. If this is the case, then there is still Teacher Zhao's level, but he can't let him snatch it. Yi Hongchen said inwardly after Dai Mubai went out. In the original book, Ning Rongrong, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuqing, and the protagonist Tang San are recruiting students this time. The original examiner of the 4th level was also Dai Mubai, but Zhao Waoqi was robbed by itchy hands. Therefore, Yi Hongchen would naturally not let Zhao Waoqi take this opportunity away. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen left his dormitory and walked towards the residence of Shrek Academy teachers. Sure enough, Yi Hongchen, who had just arrived at the teacher's residence, saw Fred leaving in a hurry, leaving Zhao Waoqi alone. Chapter 0409. The 4th tester, Ms. Zhao. "Half a month ago, you said you promised me one thing. Is it true?" Yi Hongchen walked directly into the dean's room and said to Zhao Waoqi, who had just sat on the chair, "Oh, Hongchen, what kind of wind is blowing you today?" After seeing Yi Hongchen, Zhao Wuji was full of doubts. You know, within this year, Yi Hongchen left the dormitory for a considerable amount of time, and he could count it with both hands. As a result, the sudden appearance of Yi Hongchen, who had been living in the dormitory, was indeed a bit surprised by Zhao Waoqi. "Don't care about this, Teacher Zhao. Just say that one thing you want to promise me is true or not." Yi Hongchen shook his head, directly ignored Zhao Waoqi's words, and emphasized again to Zhao Waoqi. "It's true, Zhao Waoqi never lied, let alone lied to a child." "That's good. The thing you promised me, promise it today." Yi Hongchen nodded satisfied after hearing this. Zhao Waoqi frowned and said a little embarrassed, "Hongchen, if you let me do something." "No, I just want to be the 4th level tester for the new Shrek Academy freshmen today." Before Zhao Wuji could finish speaking, Yi Hongchen interrupted him directly and also stated his own purpose. Okay, I promise you, am I going to bully a child as a deputy dean? After Xin Yuekui hesitated for a while, he said very refreshingly. In fact, Xin Yuekui really wanted to be the tester of the 4th level when Fred told him that he had something to go out. But can he say this in front of Hongchen? Is completely damaging the image of his deputy dean. Hearing Xin Yuekui's words, Hongchen's eyes rolled in his heart, but he didn't expose him. He just nodded and left the dean's room. After half an hour, Hongchen was sitting on the chair prepared in the 4th test site, waiting for the arrival of the last 4 of the Shrek 7 monsters. Sausages, sausages, hey? Hongchen, why are you here? Before the 4 monsters came, Oscar pushed a wooden cart with sausages to Hongchen and asked curiously, "Today's 4th tester is me." Hongchen smiled slightly and randomly took out a sausage on the wooden cart. A gold soul coin. There was no entrance yet. Oscar directly stretched out his hand and placed it in front of Hongchen. "Isn't it? Oscar, do you want gold soul coins with me?" Hongchen was slightly stunned when he saw this. "Hey, Hongchen, brother, I'm a bit tight lately, so..." Oscar smiled awkwardly towards Hongchen. Hongchen didn't say a word. He took out a bag and delivered it to Oscar. "Take it, get out." Hongchen waved his hand impatiently and drove Oscar away directly. Over the past year, Oscar has borrowed a lot of soul gold from him, and counting, there are 1,000, and it is still the kind that I can't get back. Where does this make Hongchen look good? Hey, thank you, Brother Chun. This group of people met Brother Chin today, but it's unlucky. Oscar rolled his eyebrows at Hongchen and hurriedly pushed the wooden cart away from here, for fear that Hongchen would take it back again. Not long after Oscar left, 5 people appeared directly in front of Hongchen. Among them was Dai Mubai, who was walking in the forefront. Behind him was a young man in blue clothes and blue trousers, who looked ordinary but somewhat delicate. Chapter 0410. 1 stick of incense time to beat me beside the teenager. There was a young girl standing in pink with a pair of small bunny ears on her head, which looked a little sweet. Obviously, these 2 people are the hero, heroine, Tang San, and Xiao Wu in the original book. Behind them, there are 2 young girls. One is tall, bulging forward, wearing a black tights and long black hair. A beautiful and moving face, but stern, like a piece of ice. Zhu Zuking. The last girl was wearing a blue dress with long brown hair, not inferior to Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking's face. However, from her blue eyes, she can be seen that she is extremely playful and arrogant, as if she is better than others. She was Ning Rongrong, the little witch of the 7-treasure glazed tile school who had known Hongchen for 5 years. After a while, you will be going to the last level of the admissions exam, the 4th level. As long as you defeat him together, you will be able to become a member of Shrek Academy. Dai Mubai walked towards Hongchen and explained to Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuking behind him. For people, beat 1 person. Is that person the same level as the teacher in front of the academy? Hearing this, Tang San was slightly puzzled and couldn't help asking Dai Mubai. "That's not true. It's quite strong. Anyway, I can't beat him." Dai Mubai spread his hands and said helplessly, "Better than Dai Mubai." Hearing Dai Mubai's words, Tang San suddenly mentioned God in his heart and secretly guessed the strength of the person Dai Mubai said. "Here, the examiner of the 4th pass is right there." Dai Mubai gestured towards Tang San and the 4 after seeing Hongchen sitting in the chair in front of him. Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zuking followed Dai Mubai's gaze and looked at them. In the next second, the one who caught the eye was a young man with an extremely handsome appearance, with a dusty temperament on his body and long silver-white hair, which was even more immortal. What a handsome boy! Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zuking couldn't help but say in secret, even if they had no idea about Hongchen, they couldn't help but praise them. Only Ning Rongrong, after seeing Hongchen, recognized it at a glance, and his face was startled. Why did he come here? What's the matter? Tang San's hearing is extremely advanced. He directly heard Ning Rongrong's murmur, and he couldn't help but ask in confusion. "It's okay." Ning Rongrong shook his head and said coldly, After all, she is still not familiar with Tang San and the others. Soon, Dai Mubai, Tang San, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuqing, and Ning Rongrong came to Yi Hongchen and Tang San, and the four were observing Yi Hongchen. Hongchen, I'll leave it to you next. I'll be watching the battle next to me. Dai Mubai reluctantly confessed to Yi Hongchen. He was originally this level. It really is him. If Ning Rongrong was still a little uncertain about Yi Hongchen's identity before, he can now fully confirm it. Hearing the words, Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, got up directly from the chair, and walked to the front of Tang San and the four. Dai Mubai walked aside with interest. The fourth level of Shrek enrollment. I will be the tester. If you want to join Shrek Academy, you must have a stick of incense time, and you have not lost. Otherwise, no matter how talented you are, you will leave Shrek for me. Yi Hongchen looked at the four people in front, put his hands behind his back, and spoke lightly. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Dai Mubai looked startled and said in doubt, Hongchen, didn't they defeat you? How come it has become a stick of incense? Chapter 0411. 1-4. Hongchen, didn't they beat you? How did it become a stick of incense? Hearing Dai Mubai's words, Yi Hongchen did not answer, but instead looked around Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuqing. Defeat me? Mubai, do you really think they can beat me? Didn't that leave them without the slightest chance? Immediately, Yi Hongchen slowly shook his head, his expression extremely indifferent, as if he was telling a truth. It's hard to say. After Dai Mubai thought for a while, it was a little hard to be sure. Indeed, with Yi Hongchen's strength, it is estimated that some 4 spirit ring soul sects are extremely strenuous, and they can't even beat Hongchen overnight. While Dai Mubai was thinking about it, Yi Hongchen took out a stick of incense from the soul guidance device on her own, and the incense was directly ignited like a trick. Okay, the 4th level, let's start. Yi Hongchen stood up straight, holding his hands behind his back. No, brother, you seem to be about the same age as us, so you still want to pick 4? You also have a stick of incense, are you kidding me? Xiao Wu walked to Tang San, made a grimace at Yi Hongchen, and then struck mercilessly. Indeed, in the eyes of Tang San and the 4, Yi Hongchen was about the same age as they thought, at most 1 year older, half a year older. Naturally, it is certainly normal for Xiao Wu to have such thoughts. You don't want to cry later. When the words fell, a burst of shining light suddenly emerged from Yi Hongchen's body. 3 spirit rings slowly emerged from Yi Hongchen's feet until they reached the waist. Purple, black. 30 level, soul venerable. Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuqing blurted out their faces when they saw this. Moreover, he is not an ordinary soul sovereign yet. There is no spirit ring on his body that is less than 1,000 years old. Well, how is this possible? Shouldn't his first spirit ring be a century-old spirit ring? Why has it suddenly become 1,000-year-old? Ning Rongrong looked at Yi Hongchen's first spirit ring, his eyes stunned. He couldn't figure out how to think about it. How did Yi Hongchen's first spirit ring become 1,000 years ago? Okay, since that's the case then, senior, be careful. Although Tang San was also surprised by Yi Hongchen's spirit ring, he was not discouraged at all. Instead, he was inspired to fight. After all, the students he met since childhood were all a few steps worse than him. This is the first time he has encountered a student who is even better than him. After Tang San's words fell, 3 dazzling spirit rings also appeared under his feet, but compared with Yi Hongchen, they were a little sad. It's just yellow. On the right hand, there's a blue grass, which is very ordinary, but it hides vitality. Wuhuan, blue silver grass. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuqing did not speak, but they summoned the spirit of martial arts with some tacit understanding. A pink bunny appeared behind Xiao Wu, a pair of agile ears shaking on Xiao Wu's head. 2 spirit rings appeared on his body, also yellow in yellow. Above Ning Rongrong's right hand, there was a 7-story pagoda suspended, each layer shining with a different light. The Cabello glazed glass pagoda. The spirit ring is the same, 2 yellows. As for Zhu Zuqing, a soul beast the same size as Dai Mubai appeared behind him. Looks like a cat, but with a more ferocious look. Wuhuan, ghost cat. The color of the spirit ring, yellow, yellow. After Zhu Zuking summoned the martial spirit, Dai Mubai's eyes shrunk, and there was a clear flash of joy on his face, but flashed away again. His face was cloudy and uncertain, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen slowly spread his right hand, and a burst of blue light emerged. Chapter 0412. Dai Mubai's worry. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen slowly spread his right hand, and a burst of blue light emerged. In the next second, a blue long sword suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's hands. On the sword body, there were five-pointed stars sunken in. Weapon spirit. Tang San felt puzzled when he saw this. He had thought that Yi Hongchen was a beast spirit. Be careful. His first spirit ability can defend and attack the enemy. Ning Rongrong reminded Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zuking beside him. After Tang San and the others heard what Ning Rongrong said, although they were a little puzzled how Ning Rongrong knew, they all took it to heart. Well, don't say I won't give you a chance. You could discuss how to deal with me. Yi Hongchen held the hilt of the Xingqian sword in one hand, turned his back behind him, and his gray-white eyes drooped slightly. Sure enough, after hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Tang San, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuking immediately surrounded them and discussed in a low voice. After almost 1/5 of a stick of incense had been burned, Tang San and the four of them had just dispersed. All of them were full of confidence, as if they were confident in their tactics. In the next second, Ning Rongrong retreated directly to the rear, Tang San in the middle, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking standing in front. Since it's all right, then I'm going to attack. Yi Hongchen saw this and suddenly smiled on his stern face. This smile, as warm as winter and summer, made me stare at Yi Hongchen, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuking in a daze. The first soul skill, increase sword rotation. At this moment, Yi Hongchen's voice sounded, and the three women just recovered from Yi Hongchen's smile. Too despicable. It is even higher than my charm technique, Xiao Wu said very angrily. Zhu Zuking also nodded in agreement. His eyes watched Yi Hongchen extremely vigilantly. Wong buzzing. At this moment, one blue long sword after another suddenly appeared beside Yi Hongchen and quickly revolved around Yi Hongchen. 18 blue long swords. This year, Yi Hongchen was also the first soul skill. Sword doubled from 9 long swords to 18. In the next second, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and the whole person was like a tiger, rushing towards Xiao Wu in front of him. Zhu Zuking. The first soul ability, Nether Spike. Seeing Yi Hongchen rushing over, Zhu Zuking didn't hesitate at all. He waved his hands, and the ghost cat behind him made the same movements with her hands. In the next second, a pair of sharp claws came out directly, and Zhu Zuking rushed towards Yi Hongchen. Brother, it's up to you. Xiao Wu turned her head, said to Tang San, followed Zhu Zuking, and greeted Yi Hongchen together. Cabello is famous, and the second day is fast. Ning Rongrong saw the timing, and the second spirit ring on his body suddenly lit up. Call! A purple ray of light flew out of the Cabello glazed tile pagoda in an instant and shot into Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking's body. In the next second, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking's speed doubled again. Yi Hongchen frowned slightly when he saw Zhu Zuking, who suddenly came to him. Call! Zhu Zuking did not hesitate at all, grabbed Yi Hongchen with a paw. Boom! After a pair of claws collided with a rapidly rotating long sword on Yi Hongchen's body, there was a sound of metal collision. What? Zhu Zuking suddenly mentioned in his heart when he saw this. Because Yi Hongchen continued to move forward, those rotating long swords were piercing her waist. Be careful! Dai Mubai hurriedly shouted when he saw this. Fortunately, Zhu Zuking's reaction was not slow. He walked around and escaped. Chapter 0413. Perfect tactics. Upon seeing this, Dai Mubai secretly wiped Zhu Zuking a sweat in his heart. He knew the sharpness of the long sword rotating around Yi Hongchen's body. Look here. Just when Yi Hongchen was about to continue to kill, Xiao Wu suddenly appeared in front of her eyes, a pair of smart pink pupils touching people's hearts. The second spirit ability, Charm. When Yi Hongchen saw this, he had already thought of it in his heart, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. His original movement suddenly stagnated. It's a success. Upon seeing this, Xiao Wu was delighted, patted his hands directly on Yi Hongchen's shoulders, and quickly wrapped her feet around Yi Hongchen's neck. The first spirit ability, waist bow. Xiao Wu's waist suddenly bends, and a force that is so powerful that Yi Hongchen can't resist, it comes from her neck and her feet. Cabello is famous. One day's strength. Ning Rongrong saw this, and the first spirit ring on his body suddenly lit up. A red ray of light flew out of the Cabello glazed pagoda in an instant and shot into Xiao Wu's body. In the next second, Yi Hongchen's body was directly thrown into the sky by Xiao Wu. A good Xiao Wu. Tang San immediately complimented Xiao Wu when he saw this. The first spirit ring on Tang San's body suddenly lit up, and his right hand suddenly fell to the ground. The first spirit ability, entanglement. Boom. Tang San had just patted his hand on the ground, and a pile of blue-silver grass suddenly appeared on the ground below Yi Hongchen, like a vine, directly rushing towards Yi Hongchen above. There is no doubt that if he encounters Yi Hongchen will definitely be wrapped into a mummy by this blue-silver grass. Zhu Zuking, who had been hiding aside before, almost appeared in the blue-silver grass. The second spirit ring on his body also lit up. In the next second, a pair of big long legs suddenly bent and kicked again, and the whole person jumped directly in the direction of Yi Hongchen. The second spirit ability, Netherhunter Claws. Watching Zhu Zuking rush to the sky, Yi Hongchen, who couldn't stabilize his figure, Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong all had a thought in their hearts. Ended. This is their tactic. Let Zhu Zuking take the lead, and then let Xiao Wu throw Yi Hongchen into the air, so that he can't stabilize his body. Then, Tang San was using a skill to control Yi Hongchen, and Zhu Zuking gave Yi Hongchen the final blow. In this way, Yi Hongchen could not even use the third spirit ability of the 10,000-year spirit ring. It's a pity that this seemingly perfect tactic is only based on the third spirit ability that doesn't know Yi Hongchen. It's over. Dai Mubai muttered anxiously as he watched Zhu Zuking rushing towards Yi Hongchen. Now, he only hoped that Yi Hongchen would not cause much harm to Zhu Zuking. You are too naive. Sure enough, it looked like Yi Hongchen who was being slaughtered by others, and suddenly said lightly. Even though Tang San's blue-silver grass was already wrapped around his feet, Yi Hongchen's expression was still extremely indifferent. In the next second, the black 10,000-year spirit ring on Yi Hongchen's body suddenly lit up. The third spirit ability, the White Phantom. Call. A pair of white wings instantly grew from behind Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen took a second to settle directly on the sky. What? No good. Come back soon. Tang San saw the wings appear behind Yi Hongchen and directly shouted at Zhu Zuking, who was rushing towards Yi Hongchen. The first spirit ability, entanglement. The next moment, Tang San didn't hesitate at all, and once again used his first spirit ability, but this time the target of the entanglement became Zhu Zuking. It's late. Hearing Tang San's words, Yi Hongchen raised his mouth, looked at Zhu please below, and lifted his lips lightly. The first soul skill, the sword style. Hu. The 18 blue long swords that originally surrounded Yi Hongchen suddenly turned into flying, rushing to Zhu to please. Chapter 0414. Yi Hongchen's goal, the 18 blue long swords that originally surrounded Yi Hongchen suddenly turned into flying swords, rushing to Zhu to please. With a distance between Zhu please and Yi Hongchen now, it is too late to escape. 18 blue flying swords passed through Zhu Zuking's body instantly, turning into nothingness. Zhu asked the whole person to fall heavily to the ground. A smear of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Dai Mubai had already paid attention to Zhu's invitation. After seeing her flying off, he went straight down and steadily caught Zhu's invitation. Fortunately, Zhu just fainted and the blood was shocked to the internal organs in his body. It doesn't matter. Upon seeing this, Dai Mubai finally let go and smiled at Yi Hongchen flying above the sky. He knew that Yi Hongchen had left his hand just now. Otherwise, Zhu Zhu would not be able to withstand this blow. From handicap to death, too strong. Tang San's expression condensed, and the back of one hand was behind him, and 3 silver needles appeared in his hands. Bai, she has no combat effectiveness. Take her out of this area. Yi Hongchen glanced at the burning incense casually and motioned to Dai Bai. Yeah. Dai Bai nodded. Wearing Zhu Zhu, please go to the other side to rest. Yi Hongchen lowered his head slightly, looked at Tang San below, and smiled faintly. You have to be careful. When the words fell, the second spirit ring on Yi Hongchen's body suddenly lit up. The second soul skill, Long Xiao Bingpa. In the next second, the wings behind Yi Hongchen suddenly shook, and Yi Hongchen turned into a phantom and went straight to Tang San. Brother, be careful. Upon seeing this, Xiao Wu hurried towards Tang San's direction. 7 treasures are famous. 2 days' speed. Ning Rongrong didn't expect that Yi Hongchen would kill Tang San suddenly, and directly used the second spirit ability when he was in a hurry. A purple ray flew out from the second floor of the Cabello Glaze Pagoda and sank into Tang San's body. Tang San looked at Yi Hongchen, who had come before him. His black eyes suddenly turned purple. Purple magic pupil. In Tang San's eyes, Yi Hongchen's speed suddenly slowed down twice, which also gave him a countermeasure. Second spirit ability, Parasite. When the words were over, some blue-silver grass suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, directly wrapping Yi Hongchen into an egg. Tang San didn't hesitate, and the hand holding the silver needle behind his back suddenly swung out. The 3 silver needles directly pierced the Yi Hongchen, wrapped in blue-silver grass. Bang! Yi Hongchen, who was directly trapped in the blue-silver grass, was completely crushed at once. A cold light appeared in Yi Hongchen's daxia, and the wings behind it shook again. Call! Yi Hongchen evaded the silver needle thrown by Tang San at once, and pierced Tang San with his sword. His reaction speed is amazing. Tang San saw this, full of surprise and doubt about Yi Hongchen's ability. In the next second, Tang San moved his feet and, together with Ning Rongrong's speed increase, came to the back of Yi Hongchen. Completely avoid the red dust attack overnight. Oh, naive. Yi Hongchen was not surprised when he saw this, as if he had known that Tang San could avoid it. Hold head high. The star sword in Yi Hongchen's hand suddenly shook, and a dragon chant sounded. Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong all felt blank when the sound of this dragon chant sounded. A second later, a sword chirping sounded into Tang San's ears. After Tang San regained consciousness, Yi Hongchen in front of him had already arrived in front of Ning Rongrong. Be careful, Tang San hurriedly reminded him when he saw this. It's a pity that Ning Rongrong is only an auxiliary spirit master, and there is no trace of Tang San's ghost shadow. How can he avoid it? A breath of death surrounds her. Chapter 0415. Pity, Xiang Xiu, a breath of death surrounded Ning Rongrong, almost suffocating her. Do not want. Ning Rongrong almost blurted out the 2 words, and her beautiful eyes closed involuntarily. Looking at Ning Rongrong, who closed his eyes in front of him.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.